Evening, morning, and afternoon to one and all, wherever you happen to be. Please forgive this brief but important message regarding the safety of the civilized world.
How are they doing this? Can you do this?
This is a call out to the Shadow Cabinets, petty dictators and all-round tossers of the world. You're on notice. We're not bound by lines on a map, or political alliances, or governing bodies of any kind. We are our own bosses, and we have a very simple job. There are the good guys, namely us, and the bad guys, namely anyone who treats anyone else like trash to further their petty aims. We turn bad guys into memories. So mind your manners, lads and lasses, or we'll blow your house down. We're the elite. You asked for us, world. Now you got us.
At least they picked a name.
How's it going, everybody? It's Man Tomorrow here. I want to actually go through my actual ability to start going through these actual things one by one and actually start educating people on this actual process itself. Sorry. Not that I want you to pick a side, but I want you to understand what sides are when you pick them. Because people who are in the middle don't attack the left. People in the middle deal with the things as they come to pass. People in the middle do not shy away from the things that has happened within the actual society itself. But if you find yourself on the side of just attacking one side, then you're for the other side. Most people here are basketball fans. See, you're rooting for the East or the West in the conference finals. And if you're not rooting for either team, you shut your mouth on what's happening on the field. It's no different when you're talking about football. When you actually go to the Super Bowl, there are two teams that are playing. Hopefully, my 49ers are going to make it this year. But if it's not the 49ers, I'm going to be on the NFC side all the way. Even though I live in Denver, still on the NFC side. So you have to understand that there's no such thing as I'm in the middle, but I'm going to attack the left. But ignore the history of the right. There's no such thing as that. Everybody else who sees this within America knows not to have these people around. But this is why they circle around the black environment itself, because they're not trying to make anything change. Because if they wanted things to change, they would actually be involved. They would actually take a side, work on that side. And that's all they do. I know a lot of conservatives that I am teamed up with on a ton of issues. They're on a local level. They don't mess with the national level. And at the end of the day, you can sit down and talk to these individuals and still get things done. But at the end of the day, if you're playing past the pork chop, there's no way you're going to be able to do anything but emotionally gaslight people into actually picking a side that's in the middle that does not require them to do anything. So, what's going on, Mike B? What's going on, man? Mike B, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a video by the Phil Scott audio experience. The actual fair use screen caption is at the bottom. This is in a public space. The actual notification is actually in the actual description comments. But you have to understand how black men emotionally gaslight you into thinking that they're for things that they're not even fighting for. And they don't recognize what side that the actual issues are on that they actually think that they are for. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a 10-minute video. And I want you to know, before we get started, there are 3 things that I ask you to keep in mind. The first thing, you have to remember what it is this guy primary complaint is. The second thing you're going to have to notice is what side have this individual declared that he's on. The third thing is, what is the timeline that he has actually said that these things are going to be fixed? Depending on the side that he's on, because people do this all the time when it comes to the black environment, is they always complain about things, but there's no really action to actual completion because they're actually not on a side. They're just complaining about the people who are actually have movement on their side that they haven't solved all the issues yet. So are you ready, Mike?
Yeah, let's go.
You got to be able to share your screen so that way we can let this going to play because I don't want to take anybody out of context. I want you to listen to the actual video from beginning to end so that way we can discuss what has happened in this video after this is over. Let me know you're ready.
Can you see my screen? Or can anybody else see my screen?
I can now. Hold on a second. Add the stream. There we go. And make it full screen. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'll mute up. Go ahead.
On Democratic leaders that they must step up the party's appeal to Black American voters or risk Donald Trump or other Republican leaders making greater inroads with the Black electorate in the run-up to 2024. Now, he was speaking to The Guardian from his Harlem headquarters of the National Action Network. And now Sharpton is 68 years old. He said that Trump's small but notable support in 2020 among voters in certain minority demographics has set off alarm bells for Democrat strategists. He said as
I don't hear
incremental
anything.
as it was,
Okay.
Republicans made some increases among Black male voters. He said, we didn't see that coming. He said, we need to really very carefully not to ignore that. Yeah, because y'all don't care about Black men. Yes, Black men are here. Black men got, want things too. Because the Democrat strategy had been F Black men, we're going to just focus on the Black woman. Well, they're not giving nothing to the Black woman either. And the Black woman have seen that. Remember that lie they said that, Black women was the backbone of the Democrat Party. Remember that? Until Black women really start seeing through that crap. No, they don't say that no more. They say Black voters were critical to Joe Biden's success in 2020, but in securing the Democratic nomination, his victory in November general election, as they partly in recognition of such support, the president is proposing that South Carolina, a state with majority Black Democrat electorate, should be promoted to having the first nominating contest in the 2024 primary elections. Like I say, exit polls from 2020 presidential contest suggests that Trump increased his support among Black men by 6 points over his 2016 performance. Is that increase was recorded despite Trump's stances toward, he said, minority groups during his term in the White House, including the travel ban on immigration from Muslim majority countries. Has nothing to do with Black America. They claim he attacked prominent Black leaders. Like, what did he really do to attack them other than say something mean on Twitter, I guess? And they say flirtation with white supremacist organizations. Yeah, he did plenty of that. As they Sharpton commented in 2019 that Trump had a particular venom for people of color. Any person that say the word people of color, I'll turn off from them. I don't want to hear them because I think you're being disrespectful, especially to me as a Black person. Okay. It says Sharpton said that his own conversation that led him to believe that a small slice of the Black electorate remained amenable to Trump's politics, and that should be an issue for the Democrat Party leaders. Say, when I go around nationally, people say they are a little more conservative. He said, especially Black men, which are true. Black men are very, very conservative. Black men care about family values. Black men care about upward mobility. Black men care about creating businesses. Black men care about having a traditional society, not all these alternative lifestyles and all this other crap is being pushed by the Democrat Party. Black men don't want all that pushed all over the place, pushing this mess in schools on our children, pushing this mess on TV. Every time you look up a child's cartoon, you're putting some freaking agenda in there. Black men and who are fathers, who are uncles, who are cousins, husbands, etc. We see all this mess and we don't like it, and we know what political party pushes all these agendas. And this is why you have more and more Black men open their mouth and say, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm a little bit more conservative." Be honest with you, most Black people are a little bit more conservative. Globally, we're more conservative in our ideals. We just, as a collective in America, we don't vote that way because the older generation got the Civil Rights Bill and they feel like this allegiance to the Democrats, right? But that's changing. Now, people want to talk about how Trump talks to women. Man, look, Black men don't care about how Trump talks. Trump, let me tell you about Trump. You could say I disagree with Trump in a lot of ways, but one thing about Trump that I'm gonna say what a lot of black men liked, he told them reporters off when he wanted to. He didn't bat an eye. He wasn't scared to. He actually showed some strength, and black men like strength. Black men exude strength too. That's what actually drew a lot of black men to Trump, is the show of strength, not carry. You know, these females got a line. Trump put them in their place. See, in this society, black men in particular, definitely black men, supposed to cower down the females. And when you saw Trump being the president, telling these reporters off, telling them whatever he wanted to tell them, and like a lot of times I was like, man, Trump, I'm like, shoot, you know. And a lot of men saw that, and that's what really drew, you know, even black men to Trump, whether you agree with that or not, and even women at the same time, like Trump as well. Now, he continued. Sharpton said that one of the reasons I've been to the Texas border is to stand with migrants. He says misinformation. People got to hear the other arguments saying, no, that's not true. He's talking about immigration. He said that he's urged Democrat leaders to focus more on directly the concerns of black voters. He said they are doing better, but they're not doing what's best. He said, I want to see them do even more. The party must show not how smart it is, but how committed it is. Okay. And he said that nobody can fight Trump like I can because I know him. That's what he said. He said, now I'm going to see what happens after 2024. Now, Al Sharpton continued to say here, he said, nobody can fight Trump like I can because I know him. He said, now I've been going to see what happens after 2024. I want to be here in 25. Al Sharpton, look, if you think you're going to run for president and win, that's not going to happen, because I sure wouldn't vote for no Al Sharpton. He's nothing but a Democrat shield and a Democrat bootlick. But Al Sharpton has even had to concede and come out and say, hey, look, Democrats, y'all in trouble with the black electorate. You're in trouble. And you doggone right you're in trouble, because we right now we saying that we need our reparations. We need our anti-black hate crime bill at the federal level. We got to keep repeating that. And the reason why we have to keep repeating reparations and the anti-black hate crime bill is because black people lead every year with being victims of hate crimes. And if Asians got a hate crime bill, then you can surely give black people one, because black people have more FBI data to prove why they need a hate crime bill. If you're not going to give us reparations and you're not going to give us an anti-black hate crime bill, then we're just not going to vote for you. That's just it. And then just, go ahead and knock yourself out. Have fun with your campaigns. And you'll see how tough it's going to get every year. Every 2 years, it's going to get tougher and tougher for you. And it's going to get to a point that you're not going to be able to win any elections anymore until you concede and understand that you're going to give us reparations and an anti-black hate crime bill, or else. And or else is this: we're just not going to vote for you. It's just that simple. Because we understand this is a marathon. This isn't a sprint. We understand this. Look, we got time. We got time. Like I said, we got time to wait it out. Y'all don't have time to wait it out. And see, in the silliness of your strategy, you really thought that you can go to other groups and really thought they was going to vote for you. You really thought giving Asians an anti-Asian hate crime bill was going to really give you the mass votes of Asians. Asians don't even vote like that. Asians not really trying to get involved in y'all politics like that. They're really not. They're more so involved in their economy. They're worried about building the Asian economy, and which is smart for them to do so. And we need to be focusing on building the economy in Black America. But we built it. We built this country. So yes, we are definitely more involved than most because we built it, right? So Al Sharpton, you need to go tell the Democrat strategists we need to pay cash payment reparations, and we need an anti-black hate crime bill at minimum, or we're going to just start losing elections. And you just need to also, another thing y'all need to stop doing, stop name calling. Y'all love to name call people. All you do is name call. Today I've been watching the situation going on with the Speaker of the House, and you have a brother by the name of Byron Daniels. He's a Republican. They put him up as for Speaker of the House along with Kevin McCarthy. And what's going on right now, they don't have a Speaker of the House because they need the majority to vote for one person, and it hasn't happened. And this is never has happened before. And Cori Bush, which she's a Democrat, and she comes out saying that Byron Daniels is just being used by white supremacy. Like, really? Why does he have to be used by white supremacy? Ma'am, you being used by white supremacy if you want to go there. Just because he don't got a D in front of his name, what did the brother do? I didn't see the brother do anything but run for his district and win. And he's part of the Republican Party, and he has a right to run for Speaker of the House if that's what he wants to do. You understand what I'm saying? Well, why all that name? That's the stuff that get on my nerves. The Democrat Party. All you do is name call black folk. You're not talking about nothing that he's doing wrong or whatever. No, you just name call it, and people are getting sick of that. Grown people. That's all you freaking do is name call. That's another reason a lot of black folks getting tired of it. Grow up. Start acting like adults and have a conversation with people. Even in our own community, even if they disagree with you politically, we still should be having conversations with our own people. All this name calling all the time, getting on my freaking nerves. That they're so low intelligent. That's all you want to do is call somebody a freaking name. But y'all let me know what y'all think about Al Sharpton, warning the Democrat Party about, hey, the party gonna be in trouble with black voters. I mean, yeah, even Al Sharpton had to come out and say this, and this is a good thing.
All right. Where do we start? You have to understand that. What side is Phil from the Advice Show on? What was his major concerns that he talked about? What is the timeline did he have for success? Like Phil the Advice Show actually engages in stupid shit, but you have to realize that this guy, unless I'm wrong, lives in Houston. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. That was a couple years ago, maybe after all this grifting and everything else. But you have to understand that Houston is one of the top liberal black cities in America. There is no way in the world that this guy would be able to think that he's going to get reparations or an anti-black hate crimes bill that was blocked by the side that he's actually on, which is the Republican side. So it doesn't make any sense to me that this guy would have these talking points. Mike.
I think his location says Houston on that last video.
It doesn't make sense for you to be in a city, the top liberal city in America, one of the top liberal cities in America. Houston, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Chicago. So if you're if you complain about the left, then you're actually on the right. I have no problem with people on the right. But go organize over on the right for the things that you want. But everything that he talks about are issues that people actually have proposed on the left. Make it make sense to me, Mike.
No, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Couple of points here. This Asian hate crime bill that he keeps referring to. Let me share my screen real quick because this is really important. Because he lamented about this. Let me make sure that we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, I'm ready. Once you have it, I can just add it to the screen. Boom. There we go.
So let me zoom in real quick. All right. This is Senate. This was submitted by Senate woman Toronto. Okay, this is the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. Okay, it's introduced in March 2021. Went into law in May of 2021. This bill requires a designated officer or employee of the Department of Justice to facilitate the expedited review of hate crimes in reports of hate crimes. Department of Justice must issue guidance for state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies on establishing online hate crime reporting processes, collecting data disaggregated by protected characteristic, race, or national origin, and expanding education campaigns. Additionally, DOJ and the Department of Health and Human Services must issue guidance aimed at raising awareness of hate crimes during the COVID-19 pandemic. The bill establishes grants for states to create state-run hate crimes reporting hotlines. It also authorizes grants for states and local governments to implement the National Incident-Based Reporting System and to conduct law enforcement activities or crime reduction programs to prevent, address, or respond to hate crimes. Finally, in the case of an individual convicted of a hate crime offense and placed on supervised release, the bill allows a court to order that the individual participate in educational classes or community service as a condition of supervised release. This is what he's referring to, but doesn't realize that
it said a review. It said a review. It didn't say a bill. It said a review of everything that you just said. So when I actually run into people who say this and I show them this type of information, I'm like, sir, if you tell me about an Asian hate crime bill, you're going to be a victim of one yourself. Sir, listen to me. There is no reason for me to actually answer your actual question that you don't know about with factual information when you don't even know what you're talking about. But they do it for maximum emotional appeal because they know most of these people are not going to read this stuff. It doesn't matter if he's lying. The problem is we have to refute these things with factual information that's there, and all of a sudden we're Democratic shields whenever we point it out. But everything is for a maximum emotional appeal. Like it said a review. They have to earmark money to go after these actual supposed crimes. And guess what happens after the review? It's either it's correct or incorrect. Does anybody think that there's been a rise in Asian crimes against Asian personnel after this stuff? No, there's no anything. But they would keep saying that it's an Asian hate crime bill to draw you off the scent that these people don't have a side pick. It's crazy.
He never even read the bill. He never read
it. Never read it. Because he know you won't read it either. That's the other point. The point is, it's not that he won't read it. He know that he can send something out racially and emotionally to get inside your head to be able to show you that he knows that you won't read it. You're going to believe everything that he says when it's not there. Like whenever I tell people to, okay, Google hate crime Asian legislation and tell me what it says. I know what the top 20 actual pieces are because I've read them myself. I'm like, yeah, well, why don't you just tell me what it is? And I'm like, oh, well, I can't really find nothing. They got something. I can't really tell you what it was, but they got it anyway. Like, come on, dude. That's not what happened. Purely a talking point.
Yeah, go ahead, Renaissance man.
Yeah. No, I'm surprised this brother's gonna leave this video up because that was hard to listen to. I'm just being real.
10 minutes. Yeah, it was hard.
It's like you might want to take that down and put that in your vault and not leave receipts up on YouTube. But no, that was the first thing that came to mind was the Asian bill. The PDF itself, it's only 8 pages, which is very short for a bill. So Mike, you broke that down. Is really good. I think the only thing it didn't talk about here, there's like I want to say like $4 or $5 million set aside that actually supports that officer and actually supports actually going and doing this stuff. But and it expires after like a year or two, I believe.
That's what I'm saying. It's a study and it already expired, but they got a whole hate crimes bill. Hate crimes bill, but it already expired though. Like, come on, dude.
But the thing here is it's in response to what happened in Georgia. The Spar killings. That's when it was introduced.
Yeah.
And so that's what accelerated this. So go ahead, Renaissance, please.
No. I was just going to say, because people think that that's like a new, and what this is operating under is already operating under the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. So, like, when you start talking about hate crimes bill, really you got to go back to the Matthew Shepard, James Byrd Act. And that's what this is really operating under. which people
Yes.
don't want to acknowledge at all. No. But to his other talking points, I mean, once again, I've asked people over and over for, you know, and we've done it several times, you know, what black men want and where that's on the ballot. You know, MOT, you said it best. You know, when you go to vote, black women aren't on the ballot. Submission isn't on the ballot.
Child support not on the ballot.
Yeah,
Master
exactly.
Teacher's not on the ballot. Green Gorilla's not on the ballot. Like none of these people on the ballot. None of it.
Like when you go to vote, what are you really going for here? And the other thing too that you know really wasn't talked about much, you know, we have our first black person to ever lead a major political party elected in this country, and Hakeem Jeffries, and you know, he won, I believe 14 out of the 15. I'll take that back, maybe 13 out of the 15 votes for speakers. He actually got the most votes. So I scratch my head when these guys talk about black men representation and they're not talking to black men, because I'm like, you know, you've got a black man who, if he had the votes, we had a majority, would be the Speaker of the House. You know, you had a black senator from Georgia, you had a black president. I mean, one of the most powerful people in the House is James Clyburn, who's a black man. So I'm kind of confused. When you start asking these guys about black women and political power, all they really point to is Kamala Harris or, you know,
Stacey
or
Abrams.
something like that. Yeah, Stacey Abrams, who didn't even win. So I'm just like, okay, where's the representation? You know, you all are happy that, you know, Byron Donald got what, 20 votes from the Republicans, which was pretty much just a ploy. It just doesn't make sense.
Never covered by anybody here either. Never covered by any person who claims to be a conservative within this space. Like when actual conservatives get into power, everybody goes radio silence about the things that are being proposed, about things that are actually happening. No one cares when they're in charge. No one cares. No one cares about how money's being spent. No one cares about how money's being appropriated. All of a sudden, the government has all this money for corporations and tax cuts. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to their actual people being in charge, that they claim that they wanted in charge, none of these so-called conservatives are talking about anything because they don't know anything about the process. Period. Like bro, we had, since Trump got elected, all these so-called conservatives in this space. But once he got into office, it was radio silence. Like nobody said anything about anything.
Well, the other thing is when I heard him, he talked about conservative, that black men were conservative, and then, you know, that's something I got to argue with as well. When you start talking about conservatism in this country, it is literally talking about preserving the status quo. It is talking about preserving the order that is in this country, which, if you look at black men and how we stack up collectively in this country, we are leading in everything you don't want to be leading in, every negative outcome, and we're behind or in last in everything you want to be leading in, such as wealth, unemployment rate, things along those lines. So how is it in black men's interest to preserve that structure? I mean, that's what
cultural conservatism
is. Yeah, but that's what conservatism really means. The culture wars, all that stuff, that's just meant to basically not have people look at policy and have people argue about wedge issues like Roe v. Wade, gay marriage, all these other things. So you really don't pay attention to issues that matter.
Correct. Question Prince.
Hey, shout out to everybody on the panel. How y'all doing this evening?
what's going
Doing
on?
all right, sir. So,
Yeah, I mean, this is the same fool's talk. I mean, this is coming from Phil. I respect Phil, but he the same way on the gender war. He's the same way in politics. He the one who introduced the world of CTG, and all of a sudden now he talks about modern women. I mean, come on, Phil, you the one who prop people up to talk down to black men. And never do you hear no substance or what to do in either party. It don't matter what party you in. What are you gonna do to impose your will like any other group to get something out of the government? Nothing but sit around here, do the same whining, crying, and complaining about the Democrats don't do this. Okay, you got over 1 million followers How come you can't come up with nothing and tell your followers give you $1 a piece? You can get you can get a lobbyist real quick with it. But hey, what do us average people know? I just drive a truck.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense for a person to be in a liberal city like Houston. Like, if you want to live around your values, there are plenty of places in Texas where you can live around your conservative values. I'm sorry. I know a lot about Texas. A lot. I know a lot of real estate in Texas. And let me tell you, if you are in any of the 4 cities, you can't claim that you're liberal. You can't claim you're conservative if you live in Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, or Houston. There is nothing conservative about you living in those areas, or the suburbs, or the actual surrounding areas thereof.
Yeah, don't live in the
You have
metro areas.
yeah, but like, where do you think most of the actual military spending is? Where do you think most of the actual money is being spent? And yes, they have one of the best highway systems in America with the tallest bridges, which I do respect. I love that as a truck driver. Those actual 75 mile an hour on state highways, I do enjoy that. But you have to understand that outside of those areas, there is truly nothing else that resembles conservatism outside of those areas in places where the actual quote unquote conservatives want to live. If the actual 4 cities that I've named voted their numbers, there is no way the rest of Texas would be able to hold a candle to those actual 4 areas. But people actually want the actual ability to not participate and expect progress. Like, that's what I don't get about this actual system. And it's like, from the Phil the Advaso point, you talk all this stuff about Democrats and all this stuff, but all of your actual issues that you care about are liberal issues. Reparations, liberal issue. Who's voting against that? Mitch McConnell said that he's not voting for anything reparations based. Is there a live stream on actual Mitch McConnell on this live stream?
Yeah.
No.
Tommy Tuberville said don't even bring it his way.
Yeah, I got the clip for that as well. If you want me to share that.
Oh, sure. Let's go for it.
Let me share my screen.
Yeah. That's the thing that kills me is, like I said, here's the other thing too. How many of these people, these Republicans that are upset with Mitch McConnell, upset with the leadership, how many of them are talking about going to become Democrats or voting for Democrats?
None.
Matt Gaetz basically said, hey, he wasn't voting for McCarthy as speaker. He voted president or he voted for somebody else. You never heard this guy talking about, I'm going to go vote for Hakeem Jeffries. Because no one else tries to employ this political strategy of, I'm going to go jump in another party and act like that's going to move my agenda forward.
And Phil from the Advaso has never said anything about Hakeem Jeffries receiving the majority of votes inside of the Speaker of the House race. Never covered it. Yeah, but go ahead, Mike.
I did show my screen, but it's not showing up.
There we go. Let's go for it. Since wait, before we actually do this, since Phil from the Advaso say that reparations is this issue, we're going to play a clip that shows that the actual party that he's actually part of, which is the Republican Party, because he's not part of the Democratic one, we're going to show what they actually think and feel about reparations. Go ahead, Mike.
Says this bill is, quote, a real tragedy because she says if you'd made it more targeted, you could have had GOP support. What's your response?
I'd like to know who she would like to have us target. I look in this legislation and I see it targeted to children. And that's why we're doing something for children that we've been trying to do now for 18 years. We're going to cut the poverty rate for children in half. That's targeting to me. Black farmers. One report yesterday said that the program will do more for black farmers than anything since the 1964 Civil Rights Act. That's targeting to me. This legislation targets children who need to get back in school. So they keep saying these general things, targeted. I suspect that if we were targeting the wealthy, they will be lining up to vote for it.
about those black farmers. As you know, Senator Lindsey Graham isn't pleased with how targeted it is for black farmers, and he has a different word than targeted. Here he is.
Let me give you an example of something that really bothers me. In this bill, if you're a farmer, your loan will be forgiven up to 120% of your loan, not 100%, but 120% of your loan if you're socially disadvantaged, if you're African American, some other minority. But if you're white person, if you're a white woman, no forgiveness. That's reparations.
What's your response? And is this a form of reparations?
Lindsey Graham is from South Carolina. He knows South Carolina's history. He knows what the state of South Carolina and this country has done to black farmers in South Carolina. They didn't do it to white farmers. We're trying to rescue the lives and livelihoods of people. He ought to be ashamed of himself. He knows the history in this country, and he knows what has happened to black farmers. The lawsuit that we've never been able to rectify. We've had so much recalcitrance. Lindsey ought to be ashamed.
And what do you say to Lindsey Graham or whomever who says that this is a form of reparations?
Well, I think you ought to go back and maybe go to church, get in touch with his Christianity.
Also included in the massive COVID relief bill, $5 billion in assistance to black farmers. Advocates say that this move is historic, and they say it's overdue. If the bill is approved, the money will go toward paying off the debt of disadvantaged black farmers. It will also fund a racial equity commission at the USDA to address long existing discrimination in the department. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has another name, though, for the assistance: reparations.
Let me give you an example of something that really bothers me. In this bill, if you're a farmer, your loan will be forgiven up to 120% of your loan, not 100%, but 120% of your loan if you're socially disadvantaged, if you're African American, some other minority. But if you're white person, if you're a white woman, no forgiveness. That's reparations. What does that got to do with COVID? God help us all if we don't check and balance them in 2022.
Right. Well, it's really not reparations. What's troubling for me, that 49 senators with 10 different or so amendments voted to pull the language out of this spending bill. So here you have a group of people who barely can defend themselves, and instead of these senators voting to support a historic measure like this, where I've been trying to get debt relief for black farmers and other farmers of color for over 30 years. I never heard Senator Lindsey Graham speak out against discrimination, where I've been spat on and called racial epithets and had my USDA applications torn up and thrown in the trash can. He knows that there's discrimination. He represents a state where there are many black farmers in South Carolina. And I've never heard him speak out against discrimination, but he doesn't want us to get any justice here. So there's something terribly wrong with this picture.
Certainly from your perspective, the 120% being forgiven of loans, that's something that is necessary. Explain from your perspective why that is necessary when someone like Senator Graham is essentially saying, why would it be 120%? It should be maybe 100%, or it certainly shouldn't be 120, he would say.
Well, there's taxes too. What the senator needs to understand is this is for farmers of color, black farmers, Native American, Hispanic farmers, whoever fits the definition of socially disadvantaged farmers. So he didn't even read the bill here. And this is something where black farmers should have been getting the whole time. When I lost my farm at USDA, there was a local farmer in my area by the name of Milton Allgood who received a debt write-off. And he said, John, you should have got a debt write-off for this. My example there is black farmers haven't been getting debt write-downs or debt write-offs. And quite frankly, we haven't been participating in just about any of the USDA programs. Subsidy programs to Trump pay out $16 billion, what I've personally spoken to you about before, Graham. We're totally absent from all of these programs. And here it is, some 30 years later, we get to have a little bit of justice here. And instead of doing that, the Republicans are beating down on Black farmers and farmers of color. They need to look at history, from going back to slavery, from sharecropping to Jim Crow, and Black farmers were able to survive and hold on in a very brutal time in history. And we're still struggling. And this is America. And the United States Department of Agriculture should be lending a hand up to Black and other farmers of color instead of helping to put us out of business. And we're facing extinction. And when animals face extinction, such as the brown bear and the black bear, the bald eagle and the rockfish, Congress puts laws in place until their numbers come back up. Why can't we do that for the oldest occupation in history for Black people in this country? Which,
yeah. How do you come down? I just think we're so far removed from the event. It was the original sin of the country, and I think let's just make it a more perfect union rather than looking backward, because I don't know where it stops when you do that.
Do you think the idea deserves to be studied further? Some of the 2020 presidential candidates have said that there should be a commission to study the idea.
I'm not there. I want to move. Listen, the original sin is real. We've tried to overcome all of our mistakes with the American Indian, you name it. We're not a perfect country, but we're trying to form a more perfect union, and I don't think this helps.
What's your take on the idea of reparations? Do you think that would be a good
I don't think any person, Black or white, is responsible for what someone else, Black or white, did 150 years ago. And I think most Americans feel the same way I do. Slavery was reprehensible. It's indefensible. But reparations presents a whole different issue. And I believe in personal responsibility. And I think someone today is responsible for what someone else did 150 years ago.
I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago, for whom none of us currently living are responsible, is a good idea. We've, tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war, by passing landmark civil rights legislation. We've elected an African-American president. I think we're always a work in progress in this country, but no one currently alive was responsible for that. And I don't think we should be trying to figure out how to compensate for it. First of all, it'd be pretty hard to figure out who to compensate. We've had waves of immigrants as well who've come to the country and experienced dramatic discrimination of one kind or another. So no, I don't think reparations are a good idea.
All right. So it's amazing how Phil from the Advice Show or the Philip Scott audio experience seem to not want to educate people on the simple fact that he wants to attack the left. But the people on the right are very clear about what they do and they do not want to do with the actual point of reparations, period. But his actual issues are reparations, which he's not on the side. Like, this is what I mean by when people are not on the side, but they talk about things as if they are on the side. You have to provide a timeline for the things you're actually talking about, and you just can't troll us into oblivion with this nonsense. Go ahead.
We never gave nobody, no Black person in Congress, whether the Senate or the House of Representatives, never give them their flowers for voting for the Black farmers getting no mention of what Raphael Warnock.
No mention.
Nobody. No mention. I mean, come on now. I mean, nothing. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. This is the way I feel about it. Hey, if you want to start your own movement on getting people to follow you, you got to do a better job than this. Cause, hey, you cannot play both sides of the fence. You're not that good enough, Phil. I'm sorry.
You know what's interesting? John Boyd Jr. In that interview said he's been spat on, had his applications tore up and pushed down
in his lifetime.
Yeah, in his lifetime, 30 years. So you're talking about 1980, late 80s, early 90s. These guys are saying that. Well, I shouldn't say these guys, but Phil says in the video, "Where's the reparations at?" Here's your reparations right there. Okay,
Those
here's
people
your
was voting
reparations
against
right
it. They was voting against it.
Mitch McConnell, what is he? A majority whip, right?
Yes.
Or minority whip?
Minority
Minority
whip.
leader.
Yeah.
Minority leader.
Yeah,
Same one.
Yeah. And you have Lindsey Graham, senator out of South Carolina, and then you have John Kennedy, senator out of Louisiana. These are the people who vote against reparations. Okay, so you
All
want to
same
have this
talking points.
and you want to have this conversation as if Dems are holding this up. It's not the Dems. It's not the Dems. Let me share my screen real quick because we got to add more context to this because no one else in the manosphere is going to do it.
Oh, of course not. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's HR 40. Commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans Act. Okay. This was Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. This was in 2021.
Wait
That's
a minute.
when
Is that a black woman? Hold on a second. Is that a black woman proposing that, Mike?
I think there might be some feedback here. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, it's a black woman, but hey, she just need to get the reparations. We ain't even no study. Come on now.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Yeah, go ahead. Hey, put it back up so that way I can put it back on. Because it couldn't have been presented by a black woman, like according to the manosphere. So,
You sure didn't know Republican introduce that bill? I mean,
you mean when Michelle Bachmann, Sarah Palin?
oh, that's right. She was getting money from her group home for kids, Michelle Bachmann, taxpayer money.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like that's where we at. Wait, hold on a second. Let's get Mike back in here. Okay, Mike's back. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think the feedback might be coming from you, MOT.
Really?
Yeah, I can hear you pretty clearly, Mike.
All right,
Yeah, add the screen. Yeah, add the screen. Share it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, this is HR 40, Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act. Okay, Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat, proposed this in 2021. Okay, to address the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and humanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865, and to establish a commission to study and consider a national apology and proposal for reparations for the institution of slavery, its subsequent de jure and de facto racial and economic discrimination against African Americans, and the impact of these forces on living African Americans, to make recommendations to the Congress on appropriate remedies and for other purposes. Okay, Democrats propose this. Okay, now when he says in his video that Dems aren't doing anything, and where's the reparations? Well, here's your reparations right here, and ask Lindsey Graham, ask John Kennedy, and ask Mitch McConnell, and they'll tell you where your reparations are and how far you can go get it.
But yeah,
I mean, but that's the problem.
we all we all still waiting on Marcel Dixon to ask them about that.
Correct. We're waiting on Marcel Dixon. We're waiting on Tariq Nasheed to go up to these Republicans and actually ask them about reparations. We're waiting on all that. Like, how come none of this stuff's happening?
It's easy to call out us the poll black folk. Al Sharpton, normal suspect. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. It's easy to call them out on it. Well, Mike done dropped off.
Yeah, but that's currently where we are. It's just that you have to understand that at the end of the day, you have to pick a side. Like, once you pick a side, you have to operate from the side that you currently are on when you're on that side. It's really not that difficult and it's not that hard.
I mean,
When
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like when you're on that particular side that you're on, and you actually have chosen the side that you currently are on, there's really nothing else to do except for show up and vote every 2 years for the actual side that you're actually on. It's really not that difficult or hard.
Not whatsoever. I mean, not even a mention from Phil or nobody like that to call stay in contact with your state representative. I mean, I call mine. I've called him. An issue that I see a lot of girls that have the light bill, phone bill, power bill in the children's name. By the time the children get 18, the credit ruined. I call, hey, can you do something about it? Can you do something about it? And I'm gonna stick with it till I hear something in a bill in Congress about that's identity theft. You done stole your children's identity. But hey, what do us average folks know? I mean, you never hear that kind of substance from Phil. I mean, organize and call your representative. Simple as that. That's a small thing. You'd be surprised how far you can get with that.
Call your local one too. That's the thing, because these people love to focus on national politics, which, don't get me wrong, federal elections are extremely important. They play a major role, but if you really have all this smoke for the Democratic Party, I want to see what you think of your party at the state level. What do you think of the Texas state Republicans then? If you think them, the people who put in their state party constitution that they want to repeal the Voting Rights Act. Yeah, like that's the thing these guys never want to talk about, is they want to go point to one thing that they don't like at the federal level, and they'll never talk about what these people are doing at the state level, at the local level in their politics.
It's interesting because there's a comment in the chat that says, Sheila do nothing, Jackson Lee, right? And for all the content that we just played, evidence straight from the mouth of Lindsey Graham, John Kennedy, Mitch McConnell, you're not going to get a majority from that side. In fact, there is nobody on that side, including Tim Scott, that's going to vote for reparations. So how do you think reparations is going to work? Oh, Dems should just give it to him. It's not a Dems issue. It's not the Democrats.
Hold the Democrats hostage until they get reparations. And I mean, can you explain to people how the process works on getting it? No, we ain't gonna. You just hold the Democrats hostage. We done. We done voted for y'all for the last 40 years. You've been ineffective the last 40 years on your vote too.
And another thing is, they think that reparations is from 1865 until now, but that's not what the bill says. But see, if you didn't read the bill, you're not going to know that. And so they think reparations is, I'm black, give me money.
Give me money now. Like on some J.G. Wentworth shit, man. Like that's what they think.
Cut the check.
Reparations. Yeah, man. Like they think that reparations is J.G. Wentworth's commercial, man. Like that's what they think reparations is, man.
Publishers Clearinghouse.
Look how long the Indians kept the fight up just to get their little piece of the pie. You think
and they still are not done fighting. They're still not done fighting.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. The substance of fighting just to get this. You just want to snap your fingers and hold your vote. It's only a handful of Indians, and they managed to get this. What little bit they do have. I mean, casino. I mean, they got their own land reservations, casinos, their own bank.
They're actually trying to slow that down. They're actually trying to slow that down because they've been majorly building across Oklahoma over the past 10 years, especially on the I-44 corridor. Like they nearly own everything across the I-44 corridor, along from like Joplin, Missouri. Well, that's the other side of on the other side of Oklahoma, from like pretty much Joplin, Missouri, all the way to OKC. They own everything, all the access, all the land, everything, green pastures as long as you can see from the they own a lot, but they're still fighting. But you have people who think that it's going to be a one-time deal to where they're going to charm everybody into doing everything just for them without them even being invested or involved in the process at all. And these past support jobs come through on your misinformation on how this stuff actually works. They don't tell you what side they're on. They don't tell you any pathway to victory, and they just get straight up believed. They don't go anywhere. They don't defend their actual position or point of view. Only thing they do is sit back in the cut and just troll. It's nuts how much these people have gotten away with over the past 10 or 15 years.
I shared my screen, MOT.
All right, hold on a second.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to add too was when you were talking about the whole reparations piece, was the thing that they don't even realize is when you start talking about all these people who say they supported Trump. Let's say, for instance, the Democrats got a majority, they had the votes in the House, Senate, and they had the presidency. They get reparations passed. You see the first thing that's happened to Biden's student loan cancellation. Same thing that happened to the farmers. They would take it to the courts, and because these folks voted for Trump, and he got to appoint a third of the judiciary, they're just going to go and find a district. And he got to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices as well too. They're just going to go and pick their super conservative district where they handpick this judge and work it all the way up to the Supreme Court and say it's unconstitutional. That's what these people don't want to think about. How they've undermined their own effort to get quote unquote to get reparations.
You cannot explain. I have never heard Phil or no other YouTuber say anything about the process of, look, what can we do? You can start at your local. How you think some of these judges start? They started at local level, causing all kind of chaos just to make a name for themselves. You could have stopped them at the local level. I mean, if you want to learn how to play the political game, hey, you should have voted whenever so you can get the Supreme Court justice. I'm gonna say this. I remember John Boehner saying he don't care if the Democrats lose, if the Democrats win, as long as we got control of the Supreme Court, we fine.
He said that out loud.
I thought I was the only one that remember hearing him say that. He said, as long as we got the Supreme Court, we fine. But hey, you got so many people that don't want to participate in the process of the political game. Hey, so you just gonna continue to take losses.
Yeah. Watch these people who say they can't stand people legislating from the bench. Watch when it comes down to their interests, they start legislating from the bench.
Well, here's the last piece, because Philip said that Dems aren't doing anything for black men, because of what Al Sharpton said. Now, Al Sharpton is speaking of something different. He's talking about going to the ballot. But to say that Democrats didn't do anything is just misinformation. And here is the Commission on the Social Status of Black Men and Boys, okay? The 2020 Commission on the Social Status of Black Men and Boys Act, 2163, established the Commission on the Social Status of Black Men and Boys within the United States Commission on Civil Rights Office of the Staff Director, and is tasked with recommending policies to improve upon or augment current government programs introduced in the House by Congresswoman Frederica S. Wilson and Senator Marco Rubio. Okay. The bill was unanimously passed on June 25th. Now, this was from the Congressional Black Caucus. They had been organizing this for the last since Obama was in office, but it been getting shut down because they hadn't had a majority to get it passed in. Okay. The mission to conduct a systematic study of the conditions affecting Black men and boys, including homicide rates, arrest and incarceration rates, poverty, violence, fatherhood, mentorship, drug abuse, death rates, disparate income and wealth levels, school performance in all grade levels, including post-secondary education and college, and health issues. To examine trends regarding Black males and report on the community impacts of relevant government programs within the scope of such topics. To propose measures to alleviate and remedy the underlying causes of the conditions described in the statute, which may include recommendations of changes to the law, recommendations for how to implement related policies, and recommendations for how to create, develop, or improve upon government programs. Okay, these are the people involved in this. Okay, they're all Democrats. Well, most of them are Democrats, with the exception of Larry Elder. I don't know why he even showed up. But this is the point, though. These guys will make it seem like this didn't happen. None of this ever happened. None of this happened.
Not only that, if some would, hypothetical here. I mean, well, it's not a hypothetical. There are programs out there, but hey, you gotta, what you gotta do? Hog time, drag them down there to fill out the paperwork, and hey, it's out there. Go find it. It's all kinds of programs. I'm a veteran. It's all kinds of programs out here that help job training for jobs that they need in the state. Well, ain't nobody. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's what they're studying. Are the programs effective or not? And if they're not effective, how do we augment them? And see, the Democrats are having this conversation. Not you just had 3 white Republicans who said, "I'm not, you're not getting shit." When it comes to reparations, you're not getting shit.
Yeah,
so if you're not getting anything,
we worried about the tax cuts. We ain't care about nothing else.
If you're not getting anything for reparations, you're definitely not getting anything else for Black men, because according to this, fatherhood, right? Doesn't the manosphere go on about fatherhood and child support? Always lamenting about child support and fatherhood.
So I mean, but they go on that they don't want to pay. I mean, they never said that they didn't want to have the kids. They always said that they didn't want to pay for it.
It ain't fair.
That's the problem. Yeah.
It ain't fair. What?
Yeah.
How about
I do declare, I do not want to pay for this. That's what it is. I mean, they want to be with liberal women, but they don't want the liberal consequences that come with the liberal women, but don't want to be with conservative women because conservative women is going to be tightly controlled by conservative men, having access to the actual conservative women. So I don't know how you deal with this issue. At the end of the day, you put the information out there. So when you have certain doctors within the space who's saying that he's going to work with the right wing, and this is what they actually think, he has to actually come out here and make a point. Well, what's your plan? What's your timeline? Like, if you say that you're going to be over there on the Republican side, you say that you're not going to organize, you're not going to strategize, you're not going to talk to these people over there, but you're just going to be on the right for the sake of just being on the right. You're playing these people for a fool over there. Because you just heard what they were done. What was they going to do?
If it ain't involving tax cuts, we ain't gonna listen to it. I'm
Correct.
sorry.
Correct. And that's all they're for now.
And I know this might be a little hilarious, but this is the issue that I try to explain to some of the guys in the barbershop. The old school movie was Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby. Let's Do It Again. When they were at the Mason Lodge and they were trying to get money, we got to put our hearts into it. The whole crowd, yeah, got to put our souls into it. Yeah, we got to put some money into it. Dead silence. And that's what stopped it. You mean to tell me you can't get all these men that's on child that's whining about child support to get $1 to get a lobbyist to help fight? $1 a week?
No, they're
all the means of men. That's $1 million a week. just $1, you can go around and pick pennies up off the ground and come over half of it. Come on. You mean to tell me $1 you can't get not $1 a week from all the men? Man, I ain't doing all that. Hey.
Yeah, but you have to understand that a lot of these people have been socialized out of the actual participation piece. They think participation happens before actual investment. What's going on, Jay Charles? What's going on, man?
What's going on, brothers? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Awesome. I'll let you finish before I start.
Oh, no, sir. I am finished. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, for you.
Oh, yeah. You guys hit some real great points. Just listening, and what's really sticking out to me, just from my research, is that a lot of people on the ministry want a progressive policy. They want things that's progressive, going to help them, but they don't want to take any action, right? So I think how that kind of productive is that, there's a lot of talk, I ain't gonna lie, like I was on the right, I was a Republican, and I started realizing, like, they ain't doing shit, they're not doing anything that's gonna help anybody. I think the majority of them aren't really progressive. Now there's some progressive conservatives out there, but their voices are not being heard.
What? Say that again.
Progressive Republican, progressive in tax cuts. That's the only thing I.
well, I would say there's some that I think want to make other people's lives better, right? Some of them are looking at the data, but majority of them aren't. They just want to make their own lives better and not help anybody else. And why I think that's not fair is because any productive member of society is focused on helping others, right? Not only helping yourself. So I think that's where they're going wrong. So for them, that's why I think there's so many fractions within the Republican Party. But when I'm looking at what the Dems are trying to put in place and trying to instill in society regarding policy, they're really trying to help others, trying to make other people's lives better, and also make society better. But there are some extremes there that I don't really agree with. But I'm starting to lean more to the left right now, man. That's why I'm going.
Are you talking about communism? I mean, helping people. But we'll help ourselves to the taxpayer money to benefit my life. I mean, but that's not socialism. I mean, I don't know what people hear when they hear these politicians talk about, especially person on the right. I mean, both sides, in my opinion, is full of it. But I mean, why can't they use their own money? No, we use taxpayer. Ain't that socialism, communism that you so much against? Pull yourself up by your bootstrap.
Yeah. We have to understand that the country's always broke when it comes time to help people. We're not broke when it comes time through military contracts and everything else, or government spending when it helps corporations, because people don't understand that tax cuts is actual spending of the American people's money that does not help anybody else but corporations itself. What's going on, Wackaroto? Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, what's going on, MOT and everybody on the panel? How you doing?
Shout out, Wacky.
All right.
Hey, what's going on, bro? What's up? But it's funny because when you have a lot of these fake $5 Republicans in the manosphere, that they always like to make these claims about what the Democratic Party isn't doing and what have you. But it's funny because I don't hear that many people or that many politicians who stand in the GOP or in the right speak about the benefits of cashless bail and how it's benefiting Black males who are being treated once again by this so-called justice system, how they're being mistreated, and how there's this inequality when it comes to who gets bailed out of jail and who doesn't based upon income, and how a lot of politicians in the left remove cashless bail to make to create more of an equilibrium between those who will receive early release from holding in jail and who doesn't. Because a lot of times what cash bail does, it gives a lot of minorities a disadvantage of being let go in jail, even if it comes to a crime that they did not commit. And a lot of people in the left, went to places like New Jersey, New York City, and other cities and states and made laws that either eliminate or decrease cashless bail. But I don't see a lot of people in the right talking about that. And once again, this benefits a lot of black males who have been disproportionately placed in jail.
Yeah, but you have to understand that if they know it's a cashless bail situation, they wouldn't be getting pulled over and taken to jail for bullshit reasons in the first place. Like, they use the actual ability to take your ass to jail because they can't for anything now, as a way of punishing you, waiting for you to kind of snap out so that way they can get your ass on more charges.
Right.
When they would never do that shit to a clientele that kind of reflects kind of who they are. This is why I say that it is a bad idea to have a bail. You talk to a person who used to be a bounty hunter. Trust me, they give bail to whoever the hell they want to give bail to. There is no rhyme or reason. There is no set limitation. There's nothing. They can just decide to give it to whoever they want to or not, regardless of who you're being represented by or not. And I think that shit is way too arbitrary. They're actually being used against certain groups of people, and most likely poor people.
I knew the bondsman. There's some bondsmen in the next county over. The judge was giving out light bonds. No sir, they got together and they got their right. They voted. They voted a right judge in. We need to make some money. You these little $100 bonds you giving? No, ma'am, no, ma'am. That's the game. That's the political game that they get played.
Well, the thing here is, they can't find a bill, and I'm saying the advocates of conservatism in this space, they can't find a bill that has been submitted or sponsored by the Republicans, by the conservatives, that holds the best interests of black men. They just can't find it at this point. I mean, we've gone through this a number of times, but Phil had a whole entire video and he didn't actually articulate anything that the conservatives do. All he talked about was reparations, Asian hate crime bill.
LGBT, pushing it on my kids, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my God.
But he did not talk about Rand Paul filibustering the anti-lynching bill. He didn't talk about that. The anti-lynching bill would have protected George Floyd.
I've never heard him talk about, even when poor Barack Obama was in office, that Phil continues to drag to this day, even though he's not president no more. Obama didn't do nothing. He never talked about how much Mitch McConnell and Ryan, the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, they blocked him and Mitch McConnell came out and said, "My job is to make his life live in hell here. I'm blocking everything he do." But nothing never said about that.
Yep.
Nothing.
Never said anything. Because I'm telling you, like, these dudes are Republican. Like, as much as they complain about being a Democratic shield, they never get any type of pushback on being a Republican shield. Period. Like, the only thing they have is right-wing talking points. Because when he's like, oh, well, that's not that. Oh, he just told him off. I'm like, what does that have to do with any policy proposals? Telling somebody off or not really agreeing with somebody. What does that have to do with any type of thing that's pushing anything forward? And it's like they get away with this because of the overall political ignorance of people on the side that they're clearly on. Like, when you play the actual video of what the actual other side believes, there ain't nobody who can say that they are conservative and actually followed up behind any of this stuff that is going on here. They're just waiting on things to fall out of the news cycle that they can latch on to and try to just push out there. They don't really have no policy weekly proposals of any kind when they're actually in charge. And this is why this is a great time, because right now you have people who couldn't even vote for a leader of their own party for days. You didn't hear any of these people who claimed to be conservative cover that. It was more Stacey Abrams, more black women, nonsensical talk, and everything else.
These women won't bow down to me. Come on, man.
I mean, okay, I'm sorry.
No, I was just making a little sarcastic comment.
All right. I mean, but then again, the $5 conservatives in this space, they're going as far as to talk about how females should be stripped of certain rights that they have. And to me, the way I look at it, I'm like, okay, how is this being conservative? Because I thought that part of being conservative is to uphold the Constitution. That's what conservatives claim, right? They want to uphold and quote unquote conserve the Constitution, but yet advocate for the removal of constitutional rights from American citizens. How's that being conservative? I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm going crazy, but I don't get it.
Conservatism for white people is about preservation of their place within society in terms of the social hierarchy. That's all they're really conserving. They don't, because there's poor white people in West Virginia with their teeth falling out their mouth, and they don't seem to be too concerned about the welfare and the well-being of those people at all. And so when black men claim to be conservative in this space, you have to understand they're lamenting about the values of white men, but not actually being a white man. It's kind of like if you ever seen the movie The Joker. Yeah. When he's dancing around, without the girl, and he thinks that he's actually he's romanticizing the idea of dancing with the chick. I forget her name now, but he thinks that he's really down with her and stuff like that. He's dancing, but he doesn't really have her, and so that's how a lot of black men feel in this space. That my personal opinion, my personal observation. That's how they see themselves. That they're romanticizing what conservatism is. They think that there's a time and place in this country where black men were just running things, and somehow it stopped in 1964. I don't know what kind of history they've received, but none of this is true.
So you're saying that they're just delusional?
I can't hear you, Jet Charles.
You're saying that they're delusional, pretty much.
I think there's a misinterpretation of history in this space, because there's always these people talking about the parties, LBJ. They always bring up LBJ, but they never bring up all the other actions that happened before that, right? And they never bring up these conservative states from North Carolina, South Carolina, all the way down to Mississippi. How decrepit a lot of these places are, in terms of how they operate as a state. They don't really produce anything enough to survive. 3 states in this country subsidize 26 states in this country. California, New York, and Massachusetts subsidize the bottom half of the United States. Without Massachusetts, New York, and California, these states can't survive. And so what values do conservatism really bring if all of your your well-being and life sustainability is coming from blue states, Democrat, liberal states? What values does conservatism really have? Because if Massachusetts and New York and California cut them off, like I suspect is eventually going to happen in 20 years, the breaking apart of the United States. These other states are finished. They're not going to be able to survive.
I just want to add another point.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how a lot of once again, the $5 conservatives in this space, they always complain about the Pookies and Ray Rays, the Pookie this, Ray that. They always complain about the history of crime in Black America, not understanding that it was their beloved party that have been a big factor in contributing to the rise in crime in Black America when Reaganomics happened in the 1980s, which is a major factor why there was an increase in drug sales and drug use in the 1980s. They don't ever bring that up. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, your beloved party that you so love so much done stab so-called black people in the back once again, right?
Yeah, that Southern strategy that old Tricky Dick pulled on them sure did work real good, but they didn't want to talk about that. No, they didn't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about. Since they so conservative, or why? Oh, Tricky Dick, Richard Nixon just went to China in 1972 for relations. No, it was the setup. It was the setup to destroy the middle class in the country. We'll trade off our middle class for cheap labor. No, we ain't gonna talk about that though. Oh, that's right. They don't know nothing about that because they don't do no research.
Yeah, same thing with Mississippi. I know we'll cut state tax. Excuse me. How are you going to subsidize your public services?
Yeah, Brett Favre taking all the rest of it. So where you gonna get the money from? I mean, this is. I a couple of guys I drive. I'm out here and we talk. Paul. He stomps. I said, I tell you what you do, Paul. You do enough wolf ticket selling about not paying no taxes. I hope that they come where they just say don't nobody have to pay no more taxes. I want to see how you gonna survive. Since you so against socialism, you so conservative, you so much a Republican, you wouldn't be able to survive a week. This country will shut down if they tell you what, quit paying Social Security, just give people their money back and don't pay no Social Security, no Medicaid, nothing. Don't pay no taxes. See how far you get. Just see how far you get.
Mm-hmm.
No, forget about the military. We ain't got no funding. No, pick up your rifle yourself.
Well, they haven't expanded Medicaid, right? So the Affordable Care Act.
None of them down there have.
Yeah, the Affordable Care Act they have not adopted, which is a quote unquote Obamacare. They won't adopt it primarily because they see it as Obama's plan. We can't have that. Not in this white man state. No, right? We're conservative. We don't accept that.
Never. That'll never happen. Somebody, no.
But
I mean,
the other thing
I don't care if somebody died. My mama died. That's in the nursing home or mama did it. I don't care. No matter.
Somebody in the comment section responded to Mike V and stating that Mike V was quote unquote capping when Mike V was talking about how you have the 3 states, New York, California, and Massachusetts, that fund a lot of the bottom half of the state because the bottom half of the United States is so poor. And I guess this person who's claimed that Mike is capping, he also stated how there's places in South Carolina look nice. I guess he was disagreeing with the fact that a lot of the red states in the South are poor, but if you do your research, the top 10 poorest states in America are in the bottom part, mostly for the most part, are in the bottom part of the United States, and they're mostly red states. Mississippi, yes. South Carolina, Louisiana, red states. Traditionally, red states.
Former Confederate states.
Yeah.
Former Confederate states. None of those states have ever recovered since the Civil War. They haven't recovered.
Yeah.
It's a county in Kentucky. 95% of the people there get some form of government assistance. Mitch McConnell. I mean, I thought he was so, and it's nothing. Like I tell my dispatcher he had the job. You so conservative, but you sure do learn liberal stuff. I mean, I just scratched my head at this so-called conservative and this Republican stuff, but y'all sure do love liberal communism stuff. I just don't. I don't know what go on in people's head. I can state a fact to them. I can show it to them. They just refuse to.
They don't care. I mean, you have to understand that most people have been socialized out of listening to black people complain about the actual government, even when it's obvious in their face. They still can't do it. They can't do it at all. Period. Michael Meriwether. WJ said that he'll have blacks voting for Dems for 200 years. But you have to be able to understand why would they vote for Republicans down there in that area post 1964. Like, we have these talking points and we have these sayings, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to actually listening to the actual live stream and the actual things that are being discussed, you have to actually talk about the conservative side and what is actually going on. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to just do anything else but discuss the issues.
It's the easy of the evils to go after. The Democrats is. It's the easier.
It's meme chasing, right? It's you know, that talking point was just that. It's just a talking point, but it's not within the context of the conversation itself. So it sounds good to people who don't know what's going on, but when you actually have to explain that on a panel, then they can't do it because it doesn't fit within the conversation itself.
But it goes down to something that I've always said about a lot of American people. Like a lot of American people choose a political side out of spite for the opposing party. And this is the case once again with the $5 conservatives in this space. They just claim to be Republicans out of spite for the Democratic Party, but actually cannot sit there and give comprehensive reasons why they choose the Republican Party and what are they benefiting from out of being Republican. They can't. They just do it out of spite. That's all it is. Spite, spite, spite. I don't like this group, therefore I'm aligning myself with that group. But what are you benefiting from aligning yourself with that group? You know?
I'll take a loss. I don't care.
Well, not just spite, Wacky. If you think about Byron Donalds, the Florida congressman, black man, he voted against the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to notice that or actually keep up with that, Mike, because that'll make you a Democratic shield. If you know what's going on.
I mean, Tim Scott. No, we ain't gonna. But we got something to say about Raphael Warnock. He just a target for all of them right now. I mean, but what about Tim Scott? Well, you don't even know. You don't even know his stance on nothing. But
and you know, personally with me, I don't have a personal issue with those who are true conservatives, even though I may not agree with everything that they say. It's just that I have an issue with the fake conservatives in this space. It's the fake conservatives. It's the lack of understanding what they claim they believe in. It's the lack of a lot of people in this space willing to organize and be politically active to do things that benefit their group that they claim to care about. That's what I got a personal issue with, you know. But as far as those who are truly conservatives, I don't have a personal issue with them. I may once again, I may not agree with every single thing that a conservative believe in or claim to believe in, but I don't have a personal issue with true conservatives. But
you got a comment in the chat, MOT. Michael Merriweather. Let's talk policy. Why can't the Democratic Party fix inner city schools that black children attend? I can answer that. I can answer that. Property tax subsidizes public schooling in inner cities. When you have structural racism that denies access to mortgages so that people can own houses so that they can pay property tax, then what you have is lack of sufficient funds to subsidize those public schools and public institutions.
Thank you.
And then what happens here is your law enforcement that eats up 2/3 of your city budget.
Yes.
They get all that's what the whole defund the police was about. Now, I don't agree with the slogan, but that's what they were talking about. So all of your money has been gobbled up into pensions for law enforcement. And when someone gets killed, that money comes out of the taxpayer's budget to pay for the victim. So that $27 million that went to Breonna Taylor, that could have went to your public institutions, but it no longer can go there. Same thing with George Floyd. How much money did they get? $27-something million or whatever it was. Whatever they got could have went to other public social institutions, such as public schools. But it can't go there now because law enforcement gobbles up the budget. No one talks
Even
about
down, even down there, Botham John, even down there in Texas, where Phil from. Hey, they had to pay, give his family some money, taken away from the education system. No, don't nobody. I mean, everybody got an idea, but you say how we're gonna put some money towards it. Nah, I can't do that now. Huh? I mean, don't you think, if we all
I mean,
pay,
but when you're actually arguing with people who have conservative slants and leans, you actually end up educating them on what they don't know, so they come in with an incorrect point of view. And these things can be easily actually caught up with if they actually understood the situation. They come in with a wrong point of view. They expect for you to correct their ignorance, and there is no really responsibility being held for being at a minimum level of responsibility or account for where you should be at in the conversation when you enter a conversation. Renaissance Man to our super chat. If you can't convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. LBJ. Like, no one talks about that quote from LBJ. No one talks about that quote from LBJ. Period. But you have to understand it, dude. We're like in a different stratosphere right now, and we don't have time for keeping people up with the conversation when it comes to just trolling and memeing and not understanding how things work. Like, when you go into an actual office of somebody, they expect for you to be on point and be at where you're going to be. So that way, when you ask a question, and if you ask a question and you're off on some stupid shit, they're just gonna look at you, laugh, and just walk off. Because you should be way up on where you should be at right now. There should be no actual conversations about history, about what's going on here. And it's like, look, if you're in the middle, be in the middle. But people in the middle are not attacking the left and claiming that they're not on the right. That's just what it is. And if you are there where you're at, just sitting there, just buck dancing to the fullest, you have to provide an actual system for actual verification of where you're going to be at a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. You can't run the same campaign of acting like you're not on the left, but you want all these left-wing things from right-wing people that you're not going to vote for. Like, come on, man.
The other part here is that it's not really Democrat, run cities or states that have, poor academic turnout. It's really these conservative states that have voted on anti-woke legislation that have all of these sort of poor performance issues in academia.
correct.
And so when you look at stand your ground, anti-woke legislation, what's the other one? Anti-abortion legislation. Look at the state's performance. They're economically performing poor, academically performing poor, and they don't actually provide a return on investment to the rest of the country. Now you can argue that about agriculture, but then you start getting into labor, and the first thing they want to do is talk about putting up a wall. Well, if you put up a wall and keep these people out, who's going to pick your strawberries and your apples?
Exactly. Go on, man. Thanks for coming to the panel to go 11. Go ahead, man.
Hey, man. How you doing, MOT? Thanks for inviting me over, man.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Doing all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, like, we keep having these conversations. Like, okay, been here for a while. There's no reason to have these conversations in 2023 about shit that you should already know by 2016. We're having 2016 conversations in 2023 because they're desperately trying to reset the conversation back at their point of political ignorance. And it's a deliberate state of political ignorance. It isn't passive. It's very deliberate. Like when he asked the questions, okay, what side are you on? Okay, give a plan to a solution for the side that you pick. Nothing. It's always iffy, Annie. This is what's going on your side. Answer my questions. Educate me. Even though you educate me, I'm still not going to say anything or do anything about nothing. And it's always a troll to left fucking narrative, man. It gets tiring.
Not only is it tiring, I mean you just hit it shows our ignorance of we can't come together. You know, we're not trying to accomplish anything. It's the same old tribalism. You cause more chaos by running your mouth. If you don't know nothing, just say you don't know. You don't know how the political game works. Especially if you don't want to participate in it, really stay on the sideline.
Well, he has a super chat, and thank you for the $4.99 super chat, Michael Merriweather. I live in Cori Bush's district. At least three black school districts in her district are unaccredited. I mean, I think he just means 3 black schools are unaccredited, not 3 black school districts.
I don't think that's possible. Like, what kind of school district? Because all school districts have to be accredited across the state. Like, we're not talking about colleges here, where colleges can be unaccredited. All schools are accredited across the state. Like, you could transfer from one school to another within the state. Like, that doesn't even make sense as an actual statement.
He's right that a K through 12 school can be unaccredited. It can lose its accreditation. But to say that a whole school district has lost, 3 school districts have lost their accreditation, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Crazy.
That's
crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't Cori Bush like a U.S. representative? That's a local issue.
She's a congresswoman. But the thing here is it doesn't have anything to do with her, right? That's a management issue. That's
the point I'm talking about. I respect you for making that comment on the super chat, but that's a local issue that you should be fighting versus a national issue that Cori Bush represents. She can't do nothing about it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is he expecting Cori Bush to fight for issues that he fucking cares about? Where he doesn't even support Cori Bush at all? Is that what I'm hearing?
We don't know. We don't know if he supports Cori Bush, but what we do know is these problems existed before Cori Bush got here. Cori Bush just got into office in 2020. She didn't, she wasn't here for the last 20 years. She just got here 2 years ago. And so accreditation takes at least 2 to 4 years to regain back for any K through 12 school. Now, you can lose accreditation for a variety of reasons, such as mold, asbestos, sanitation, quality of water and things like that. These sort of things would allow you to lose accreditation. We had schools here that lost accreditation because the roof had not been serviced in 30 years, and so it caved in, and so it lost accreditation, and it didn't, it got spun off into a charter school. That's pretty normal in areas that are distressed. But that's the whole purpose of the infrastructure bill was to address these issues, right? In Baltimore, you do have schools that don't have proper heating or proper air conditioning. That's because they've been starved of resources. That's not Cori Bush's fault. That's not, Elon Omar's fault because Minnesota is cold. What do you want them to do? It's really not their problem. That happens at the school board level, not at the congressional level.
Prime example of Texas got their own energy grid, but when it's cold, they can't support their customers. I reckon that's the representative fault. No, that's a Texas issue. That's a local issue, but they'll blame it on the national. Wow. How come the infrastructure? Hey, we're trying to pass the infrastructure bill, but guess who's blocking it? Them same old Republicans.
Their alternative is what to the infrastructure bill is what I'm asking, right? Okay, you don't want to support.
What was the alternative to Obamacare? Nothing.
Yeah, well, Trump ran on the idea that he was going to replace and repeal and replace Obamacare. Come
That's it.
2020, nothing was done, and so they
Repeal.
didn't have an answer, right?
That's how we just gonna go against it, and that's just because the left said something. The left want to do infrastructure bill. No, we just gonna go against it. Well, it's gonna help you. It's gonna help out. You know, the roads you drive on, help your schools, and help. We don't care. It's just as long as the left. Okay.
Yeah, and look at Mississippi. Look at the water crisis down there. What Why did Governor Tate, block the funding, for Jackson? Why did they try to take the airport? There's a lot of questions that lack answers that really don't have anything to do with Democrats.
At all. But at the end of the day, like when you look at it, it's just that everything, because there's such a lack of understanding in the environment itself. It's like every time we have this conversation, it's trying to bring people up to speed to where we are, when it's a minimum level of responsibility for people to know what's going on in their environment. So they kind of socialize it off onto an actual, popularity. Like, dude, these are not popular issues, not popular topics, not popular anything. But at the end of the day, it's still okay for you to know these things. But when you have people who actually use the political misinformation of people and actually use it as a springboard to actually talk their conservative stuff without actually being invested on that side, because most of the stuff is, I live in a bad area, Dems come fix it. Dems ain't fixing it fast enough. I'm not going to ask the Republicans. So I'm just gonna whip the Dems harder. Like, man, get the fuck out of here.
Well, we can talk.
I just hold on. Let me say this. I just read an article which states that there's no school district in the state of Missouri, which is where Cori Bush, which is where her constituency is at. It says that no school district in the state of Missouri is unaccredited. I'm reading this from an article.
Hey, man, so Meriwether
the-
gonna have to reconcile that.
Yeah. All right.
Go ahead, BMT.
I don't think you're unmuted.
BMC, unmute. We can't hear you. Unmute.
He's on the forklift.
Oh.
All right, but
what's going on, everybody? What's up?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Hey guys. So I was listening. I didn't. I'm trying to come in on. I think y'all were bringing up about the South Carolina thing, and I was asking like what area, but of the issue, because like I'm working the contracts of Boeing in different. I don't want to dox all my shit, so I'll hush up. But I'm trying to find out what are the poor areas you're speaking of, because I'm trying to figure out what's this, because the thing that guy was talking about, or whatever guy saying that South Carolina's poor, that's not true. That's a hustle. That was a hustle scheme that's been called out locally, that's been going on in our state. Like we actually are building, like we've been building more houses and stuff. My businesses are pretty lucrative, so that's how I was trying to figure that out about what y'all were saying about what was the poor area. Now there are dry areas that are old, that are not being that are dilapidating out, but I'm trying to figure out what are you talking about, like broken roads and all this other stuff. Like that's that good old Christian conservative talking mumble jumble crap. I'm just saying, like, we just now built. So what are y'all talking about?
I can tell you the roads because I go up and down 95 quite often. And you
That's 95. 95 is old, right? You're talking about 95, right? The Interstate 95. I know that. Right. Okay. So
I mean,
what about 95?
And it's pretty bad in it. Especially once you get Waltersboro down there to the Georgia state line, is terrible.
Okay, so that's the backwoods country. I'm glad you said Walterboro. Thanks for saying that. Walterboro is the backwater country. Like it's hardly anything out there. It's probably one little college. I understand that. If you would have said like, well, Charleston, like the big metropolis areas, then I was like, oh, really? Like, then you'd have to start pinpointing like. You got to understand, like the funding's not being evenly dispersed between that of the sundown towns and that of certain areas. That's a difference of how things were. And that's why I said, like, I don't speak on states that I haven't never virtually actually been in, because people can tell you anything to get certain funding or say, well, we're doing horrible, this and that. Like, that's like when they say Chicago is constantly being run by gangs. And then when you ask the people who actually live in Illinois, they're like, dude, it's not even like that. Like, it's that one particular block. Like, let's actually have the conversation. Like, I'm all for having a policy conversation, but like how MOT addressed, like, hey, you can't just say the black schools, just say schools, because that's what they're going to look at. And if you're talking about schools, they're going to ask you, what's the zoning? And what's the zoning going on over there? That's why I'm thinking, like I said, I'm not trying to disrupt our conversation, but this is where we're having this conversation of you choose the side, then you're going to ask the question, okay, then tell me the layout of the policy on that side, because that's what I want to know. I wasn't trying to disrupt anything, but
no, it's cool. But Michael Merriweather had to reconcile the fact that where the O actually looked up the actual Cori Bush's district, and in the entire state, there are no schools that are not accredited. So he has to reconcile what he was talking about earlier, rather than just throwing shit out there. So
I understand
that is
that.
nothing Cori Bush can. That is nothing Cori Bush herself can control. She's on the national level. That's a state level of issue that Cori Bush. She can indirectly involve it, but she cannot directly. Oh, Cori Bush, that's her area. That's her district. What can Cori? Well, she's on the national level versus local level.
The only thing Cori Bush can do is she can lobby for money. Okay. And that usually comes in big spending bills. So everybody gets their, they put their proposals in for, whether it's public schooling or, roads and infrastructure and things like that. That's the only thing she can do is go get money. But she can't, but the money
she can't
isn't
filter
the
it down to that district. Once it go to the state level, they can cost a Brett Favre prime example where they can take money that's supposed to go somewhere and redirect the funds or come up with something.
Mississippi is called black granting, but yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, no, but no one's saying anything about what's going on in Mississippi with Brett Favre, right?
Of course not. I mean, they don't want to talk about that. And,
no, Mississippi's a conservative state. It has been for the last 30 years, if not longer.
Just 30? You mean like 230?
Yeah. This is the same state that just got rid of slavery.
In their constitution. Yeah.
During slavery, it was one of the richest places in the world. I mean, how did it go down so quick? I mean,
it's called free labor. You can be rich as you want to, you ain't got to pay your employees. So,
hey, but you can go get everybody else in the state to go fight a civil war for you, because you want them to fight for the state of Mississippi just so I can keep my money. But
but that's the thing. When these people talk about reparations based on race, they lost a couple of generations of white men and boys. So they would probably get reparations a hell of a lot faster than you would if they were actually based it on the actual racial component, which is why you have to prove that you actually lost shit, which is actually how it should have been done in the first place.
So I could just only educate the ones that, my sister live in the Charlotte area, and she got redistricted. The state redistricted they trying to get it passed through the court system, where her little area she live at is gonna be in the area where a bunch of rich folk is. I'm like, wait, you should have voted. You should have been going to your city to the county commission meeting. I'm sorry.
Well, they fixed it so that, because remember, North Carolina voted for Obama twice, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they did. So did Florida, I think.
Yeah, and so they want to make it so that another Democrat doesn't win that ever again.
Alma Adams is that from Greensboro to I-85 corridor all the way to Charlotte. That woman from Greensboro, she don't know nothing about no issues in Charlotte. But y'all, that's what I say. The political process, I try to explain it. Look, you gotta get with the program of what these for every move you make. We ain't playing checkers, we playing chess. for everything you thinking of, they're gonna counter whatever you do. I mean, you gotta know how to political game play. They're gonna gerrymander your district to keep you all that go back to building schools. Hey, we'll allocate the funds to the areas where it's primarily non-blacks. But you know, you can't get the average person or even the average so-called black conservative to even realize that. They just want to go against the left.
Well, that's what's going on in Mississippi right now, right? You know,
That's
only
going
Jackson.
on everywhere.
Well, I'm speaking specifically in terms of the process,
Yeah, okay,
right?
correct.
In Jackson, they have to go through a special process, you know, that involves the state. You know, it's a special process just for them, not for anybody else. So when it comes to funding and infrastructure and whatnot, the state is dragging their feet. They don't get the funding. They got $3 million, and then they got a few $1 million more, but that's not enough. That's not sufficient to replace infrastructure. You know, you spend $3 million on fuel.
Yeah, you got to do upkeep on the infrastructure. On the pay.
Let me say, hold on. Let me ask you guys something. Is Jackson, Mississippi, still going through a water crisis?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, wow.
MOT talked about this like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, during the pandemic.
I mean, it's water crisis going on in many towns across the country. It's not just Flint and Jackson. I mean, I'm like, do y'all folks realize how bad water is in some of these places?
Well, if you go to MOT's community tab, I think he has a picture of the water coming out of the faucet when he was there.
Yeah.
And so
I 2 years ago.
Yeah, I thought he was drinking.
Water's all dark.
Well, hot chocolate. You thought you were drinking hot chocolate?
No.
Chocolate.
No, I thought he was drinking like Michelob or something like that.
Dennis one was coming out of the faucet at an actual at a casino.
I was just looking here at. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just looking at the 10 poorest or the 10 hungriest states in the union. The 10 hungriest being where you have hunger. You guys are talking all this other stuff. We're talking about hunger now. Hunger, where we have levels of starvation going on in our country. And we're looking at the 10 hungriest are Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Missouri. These are the hungriest states. These are the hungriest states in the union.
Man, Mississippi is always number one.
Let me guess, those all blue states too, huh?
This is where we have starvation going on.
I can't believe Texas was one of the states.
To break this down, Texas.
Well,
you start going way out to the hinterlands of Texas, and you start going way out there past the oil wells and all that that's out there. You got hungry ass starving people. Okay, so you have that, but once again, I see Mississippi leading, Arkansas, Louisiana, of course.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's number 50 is actually it's actually the poorest state. West Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama. You know, Alabama's going to be there. South Carolina, Kentucky, and Missouri. This is what we're looking at now. Here we're looking at this, and I'm this is the Census Bureau, and here are the Quakers here in the United States. The Quakers talk about we have to push legislation because we're from a faith spiritual standpoint. We can't have starvation going on. Here they are trying to come up with legislation so you don't starve. Starvation in America. Not education, not healthcare. People can't get enough to eat. Here we have children growing up with a lack of nutrition, and these are the states that are leading this in this country. You have to look at that, and when you start talking about conservatives, you start looking at certain kinds of legislations that these people are looking to push. How do you reconcile starvation in this country? How do you reconcile that in that in that political philosophy stance that you're really pushing. How do you reconcile that? That's just a question I have. I'm just leave it out there, but I just want to put those facts out there as to what is going on here in this country. That's very real, that a lot of us don't want to talk about or really address and talk crazy about certain things, but are not looking at some of the baseline, bottom line aspects of survival.
Well, you're not gonna get no black conservative.
No, go ahead, guys, go ahead.
I mean,
black conservative because Michael Merriweather has joined the panel, so that way he could be able to answer his questions. If you overtalk anybody on this panel, we're just gonna kick you off. So let's see what's going on here. What's going on, sir?
Hey, how you doing, man? I'm not going to
overtalk.
I'm not going to overtalk anyone. All right,
no
so
problem.
I was going to address. I wanted to address you saying that there's no school districts in Missouri unaccredited. I would like you to look up the Normandy School District and also the Riverview Garden School District, because I'm not a liar. And number two, I'm not calling. I didn't want to derail the conversation. I am looking for solutions, and I agree with a lot of what you say. I listened to your earlier stream today, and I tend to agree with you. I do think the productive people do need to take the lead. I just don't see how the Democratic Party is our panacea to give what we need.
Okay, well, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Okay, so what party do you have in mind that is going to be able to get the things done that you think that need to be done?
I just don't think as black people we should have an allegiance to any party.
Well, that's not going to work, sir. Wait, hold on.
You don't think that's going to work?
No, I don't. I don't think it's ever worked that way. Like every other group of people work with both parties within the country. Every other group have, but it's just that. Okay, so what is it in the Republican Party that you think is happening so well for black people? What is it?
I don't think that there is anything particularly great about the Republican Party.
Wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
Given that you just said that, what do you think is going to be the measure? Like if you just said out of your mouth that the other side isn't have anything, so you have to choose one or the other. Like it's an either or. Like we're not a parliamentary system where you're going to get a particular divisive amount of power, regardless of the side that you don't choose.
My thinking is, I think we as black people need to leverage whatever collective power that we may have.
We don't have power. Like, sir, you're trying to take hostages. That's not how this works. You have to pick a side and invest in the side that you're actually on. Asians are actually on both sides. Gay people are actually on both sides. Jews are actually on both sides. Latinos are actually on both sides. So it's like you've never seen a Jewish person talk about what they're not getting out of what side that they're on. And you don't hear two Jewish people actually coming online talking about what they don't get out of both sides. We have to be able to operate on both sides. So we're talking about the things that are happening on the left. We don't have anybody talking about things that are happening on the right. It's the right that's lacking here. It ain't the left, it's the right that's actually lacking here. It's always been the right that's lacking here.
There are people that talk about the benefits of being Republican. I just don't listen to them. I'm not a Republican. Only thing,
sir. Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
we got things squared away on the left. You have to either choose a side that's on the right or organize on the right. If you're telling us that don't be on the left when there's where all the movement's at, you got to come in with a side that you're actually organizing on, because you're not on the left, which is fine. That's great, but you actually have to be on a side that you're actually on. You just can't say, I don't think we should have any allegiance to any type of party, when most of the actual movement is on one side for the most part. You have to come in with a side pick.
What is beneficial that's coming out of the Democratic side? Because to me,
sir,
to me,
sir,
Go ahead.
let's go over it again. You
Okay.
have to go over the history of what's going on. See, you coming in, you don't know the history of what's going on. Then you expect for us to actually educate you on what happened, when you still don't have a side pick. Like, if you're not on the Democratic side, then what's happening on the Democratic side shouldn't concern you at all. You have to be concerned about the side that you're actually on and what you're actually trying to coordinate with on the Democratic side.
But what I'm seeing is the future of Black people are the children. So I'm here in St. Louis. I'm looking at the Black school districts, and they almost all are failing. And they are all in Democratic districts. That's a problem.
Can I ask you a question?
And that's not just in a high crime city. Ferguson, Florissant, Normandy, Riverview Gardens, those are not all in St. Louis City where the crime rates are extremely high.
Okay,
They're
so what
also
side are you actually on? So what do you actually vote as?
I'm an independent.
Okay, so if you're an independent, who do you caucus with to get your actual agenda through?
We don't have a caucus here in Missouri.
Sir, if you're an independent, I'm gonna ask you again. If you're an independent, what side of the aisle do you actually go with to get your actual agenda through?
When I go to vote, I vote for the person or whatever policy I think is more beneficial for Black people here in St. Louis. I always vote locally. I vote every single local election.
I think you're missing the point of my question. If you're not a Democrat, you're on the Republican side. That's the only other side in St. Louis. You do understand that, right? I mean, we have two. Okay.
You can vote Libertarian, and you can also vote Green Party.
Okay. So what I'm saying is the Libertarian and the Green Party does not have major influence within those areas. The only people who have major influence within those areas, because I own property in Earth City. You know where Earth City is at?
Of course. I went to high school right close to there.
Okay, so I own property in
Maryland
Earth
Heights.
City.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. All right. Right next door. Actually, next fucking exit. Actually.
Yeah.
So you have to choose a side. There is no Libertarian. There is no Green Party. There's only two sides in that area, and you know what side that you don't want to be on or live around. You know that. You know what they think in that area.
I'm not going to vote full ticket Democrat. Because it's not working.
Okay. So where do you want to live at? Do you want to live in Rolla? Do you want to live in Joplin? Yeah, I own property in Joplin. I'm in Joplin right now. I can guarantee you don't want to live in Joplin.
I know that.
I can guarantee you don't want to live in Joplin.
Hey, I went to the University of Missouri, man. I know what rural Missouri is. I have friends from all over Missouri. You know what I mean? I like.
Okay, so you want to live in a left-wing area, but not vote for left-wing things, but you don't want to move to a right-wing area. That's what I'm saying. I know you don't want to live in a right-wing area.
I could actually move to St. Charles County, which is red, and I'm thinking about. I got a condo
St. Charles
here
County is
in
pretty
St.
good.
Louis.
Yes, St. Charles County is pretty good.
St. Charles County is red, though. Yeah,
no, in some areas it's red, but you know what it is, yeah.
But what I'm saying.
So what I'm saying is
I'm looking at the city, and it's not good for Black people, though. It's not.
Okay. So you have to be able to individualize. Okay. Let's individualize our efforts. I can't help people who don't know how to pick mates. I can't help people who don't know how to socialize kids from social media. I'm not worried about those people. So when you're talking about Black people, you're talking about circumstances that you cannot control. Like, I can't control what these people are doing out here in these trailer parks and all this shit since the actual tornado that hit Joplin, which is why I bought property here in the first place. Most of these people are in the same circumstances that they were in before, and they still vote the way that they vote out here. So what I'm saying is that It's not the area. They know exactly where they're living at. They can move to another area. Most of these people got payouts. Other payouts that people didn't get in other areas. They chose to live here. So what I'm saying is that you have to choose a side, and you have to stick to the side that you're on.
My side is black people.
Dude, that's not a side. That's not a side. That's not a political party. Black people is not a political party. The benefit of black people is also not a political party. You have to choose from the political parties that's there. You can't make up stuff as you go along. You have to pick a side, sir.
Let me ask you this.
No, sir. No. Do you want to live in Jefferson City? Have you ever been in Jefferson City?
I went to University of Missouri of Columbia, of course.
Okay.
So my thing is this, MOT. You do very well for yourself. You help people. I know you help people.
Yeah.
My question is, I know you feel good about helping people. Would you like to help black people as a collective or just like-minded people?
No, like-minded people.
Just like-minded people.
Correct.
Do you ever feel guilty about seeing people that look like you suffer?
Dude, I pay for hotel rooms for 2 people today who are suffering in this city. That's a black couple who's out here for God knows what reason. I do it all the time. I don't broadcast it a lot. But when I'm talking about, like, the people who can't be helped by the way that I'm trying to help them, I can't do it. They have a whole bunch of shit that is in front of them that is far beyond anything that anybody can actually deal with. Like, most of these people could have been helped 20 years ago if they was given the simplistic information 20 years ago. So what I'm talking about like-minded people right now is that the like-minded people is that the people who did it right. The people who did it wrong, I still help them, but I know the help isn't going to go as far as the people who I actually help, and the actual help goes way further. Do I help the other people? Yes. Do I think it's going to go as farther? No. I don't think so.
I get it. Now, I agree with you. That dick pussy conversation, that bullshit game, and
dude, that's not part of what we're talking about here. We're not bringing that into the conversation.
Hold on, can I cut in for a minute?
Sir, wait, hold on.
I was just telling you, I agree with your earlier platform.
Your
earlier broadcast.
Yeah,
that's non-productive. I think you should start crashing the parties. My only thing is, I just don't see how the Democratic Party is helping. You say you have policies that you get done, and it's easy. I've heard you say this before. You say it's easier for you to work with the Democratic Party to get policies passed through.
Yes.
I'm looking at the intersectionalism that they use, and it just seems like it's so divisive.
Intersectional feminism or LGBT issues has nothing to do with an individual's ability to navigate the environment that they're in. You have to pick a side. Like, listen, the school that you went to, you chose to go to that school. You could have went to any other school throughout the state that was not net anywhere near the results that you have. We have to be able to stop talking about this community and outcome and black family and start pushing these individuals like yourself to better results for individuals. The moment we start talking about this shit, we're trying to make up for these shortfalls of actual women and the actual choices that they made and the lack of socialization for the actual kids. This isn't a black specific thing. There's Latinos here. There's Native Americans here. I didn't know that shit. But dude, like, there's a lot of people here who are on the outs because they don't know how to navigate the environment that they're in. They didn't take education seriously. I'm talking about the parents of the kids. I'm not even talking about the kids. I'm talking about the parents haven't navigated the environment.
Right.
The parents haven't navigated the environment, so the kids don't know what the fuck to do. The kids are working at like Pizza Hut and Walmart and all this other bullshit around here. I'm like, you have productive kids who are making straight A's in school. Why in the fuck are they not in college? They're like, well, we don't have the money to send them to college. That's the same situation I was in Mississippi. The reason why I didn't go to college, because I didn't have a fucking car. I had to go to the military because we didn't have a fucking car. Like, that's how being in those social economic circumstances can really put you on the outs. But there are other options and solutions. But these people have chosen not to go to them. And that's not a party specific issue. That's a household specific issue.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, your story resonates with me because my mother is from Itabena, Greenwood. The same day that she graduated in 1967, she was on a bus coming up here to St. Louis. Worked her way through teachers college, became a school teacher, yada, yada, yada. But there was no opportunity because, you know, they were sharecroppers. Right down the street from
My
Mississippi
family
Valley State.
moved. My family moved. Most of my family moved from the Delta to St. Louis.
Mhm.
And the ones who couldn't make it in St. Louis made it to Chicago. And the ones who didn't make it in Chicago ended up in Milwaukee. I know
Yeah.
the story. I've
Yeah.
lived the story.
Yeah.
We can't help these people. The only thing we could do is participate in individual basis. The moment you start talking this family and community shit, you lost me. At the end of the day, these people have decided not to participate. That's been a socialization process of not participating. There is nothing we could be able to do about that. We can't save this family. Rescuing this concept is never going to be able to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's just I hate to see people left behind, but I know with this new tech age we living in, it's inevitable. I do agree with you though, man. I think you need to start coming on and crashing the party though, because the more productive people do need to be at the head. I mean, you know, theory and shit, that's not practical. The people that make the money and that are doing stuff out here should be leading the conversation, I think. So
No, I mean, but this is the entertainment space at this point because people have divulged from the actual productivity piece. You
it
have
ain't
to
no time
understand
for
that.
it's no time for entertainment no more.
No. It's no time for entertainment for them. This is why I'm like, dude, you got to roll to the actual finish line yourself. Stop worrying about the out. Dude, these people who I bought actual, what do you call hotels for, I know I can't help these motherfuckers. I
Yeah.
know I can't. Talk to the actual person at the fucking hotel. They're just like, I don't know why you're doing this for these people. These people have been out here for months. They sleep outside for days, and then a person like you come through. They pay for them a hotel. They be here a couple of days. They act like they don't know when time it is to leave, and then a month goes by later. They sleep outside. They beg everybody for money and all this shit. And it's like, you know what? These people cannot be helped. They cannot be fucking saved. But at the end of the day, they children can be. They children who actually go to school, even though they just go to school to get something to fucking eat, they can be socialized into a better system itself, not their parents. That's why I do it, to get access to the kids, to give them a simplistic conversation of letting them know of how temporary this fucking situation is. This situation is fucking temporary. They don't even know how far education could take them, because Lord knows their fucking family members ain't gonna tell them. Their mother and father ain't gonna tell them. They see their mother going in there and fucking sleep with a whole bunch of dudes and shit. But at the end of the day, the politics that's going to help these people are way above their head. Way above their heads. These people are trying to survive from day to fucking day. They don't give a fuck about no politics or environment. The environment has failed them. But their parents have failed them more than the environment have failed them. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, dude, you have to be able to reach people who you could possibly reach. Hell yeah, it fucking gets on my goddamn nerves, and it fucking disturbs me to no end seeing these motherfuckers not being able to fucking make it. But at the end of the day, it ain't fucking everybody. It ain't everybody.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm not here to take the disrupt it. I just when somebody was talking about
there's a way to go. There's a way to go, and we have to go now.
Yeah.
End of the day, you know you don't want to live in motherfucking Rolla. You know goddamn motherfucking well you don't want to live in Joplin.
Nope.
You know full well you don't want to live in Columbia. You don't want to live in motherfucking Oak Grove. You know you don't want to motherfucking live in motherfucker another place where I own property at. You know you don't want to live in St. Joe. You know,
My
goddamn well
son
you
is
don't
down
want
in
to fucking
Cape
live out there.
Girardeau. I wouldn't want to live in Cape Girardeau. He's down in Southeast Missouri. I wouldn't want
Cape
to live
Girardeau
down
got
there.
some good property out there. It
Yeah.
got some good property out there for farming, but you don't want to fucking live out there either.
No, I wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a conservative area. All these places are conservative areas that I just named. All of them in Missouri that I own property in. I know you don't want to live in these motherfucking areas. So what I'm saying is, bro, listen, once you get your shit together, once you got your productivity piece together, get the fuck off the field, move to a decent motherfucking area, and stop socializing yourself with these people that you cannot save all that much. You can't help them. They don't want to be helped. They chose these situations to be in. These situations define these people. They're waiting on people like me and you to come through with millions of dollars and fucking save them from this shit. Yes, it's ugly. Yes, it's fucking terrible. But you deserve individual results to where you don't have to think about this shit every fucking day.
But can I say something? Can I cut in right here?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. For one, as far as the topic you guys are talking about, it's each person's responsibility to have self-determination, to want to actually, to have the desire to actually improve their circumstances. That is up to each and every person. Some people have it, some people don't. And when people do not have that level of ambition and self-determination to actually move up in society, there's really nothing you can do to help them. And that's just the reality. I think that I just mentioned something that we all know, because this should be common sense. And I'm about to leave. But by the way, Michael Meriwether,
Yes, sir.
initially when you came on here, you stated that there's 2 Missouri school districts that's in the unaccredited. You
I said Normandy and Riverview Gardens.
Okay, now, all right. I put up a link from St. Louis University, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which stated that both of those school districts are accredited. Now, at one point in time, they were unaccredited, but in 2017, Normandy became accredited, and in 2016, Riverview Gardens was accredited. So, as of right now in 2023, there's no school district in the state of Missouri that's unaccredited. And once again, this is according to St. Louis University. I put the link to that article in the private chat. But by the way, I have to go. You guys have a great night.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for coming on, Michael.
But thank you.
But Michael Meriwether, what I'm clearly saying is it, man. If you're this close to the fucking finish line, why are you looping back for people who are never going to get it? You there? Can't hear you. Well, I can't hear him. Quiz the Prince? All right. Well, I got to get the hell up out of here. I got other things to do in the morning. Oh, well, he left. All right. So what I'm saying is this. You have to pick a side. If you pick a side, you stay on that side, you research the actual American history, you don't have to worry about trying to take chip shots at the left when shit go wrong. Because right now, in this country right now, there is so much shit that's going on the right, it is nearly impossible to try to fake like you're on the right now.
Correct.
They are not on your side. They are not trying to work for anything that you're actually working for. And if you think that you're going to take hostages in a situation like this, where everybody knows that you're not going to get shit from the other side, dude, you're crazy. You got to provide an actual timeline of what you're talking about. Like, I know Missouri. I own a lot of property here. And I know these motherfucking areas that no person would want to fucking live in, let alone black or white. Like, I've seen Latinos come here. I'm like, bruh, what the fuck are you doing here? You are in so much danger being here. But at the end of the day, a lot of people think that they're just going to come in. They're going to take this adversarial position. It's like, okay, you want democratic shit. You want democratic investment. Like, I refuse to drive down I-44 even if there's anything more than rain. You should see how I-44 looks from St. Louis all the way to Joplin. 200-300 trucks slid off the side of the fucking road every fucking time it snows. Want to know why? They never do the goddamn roads. And we're talking about sloping 3-5 mile drops of 1,000 feet going down and up hills.
Yeah,
I would never come out here.
come to headquarters right there outside of Joplin in Carthage, Missouri, right there. Trust me, I know.
Yes, dude, I wouldn't drive down here in a car, let alone a truck. And it's like, bro, there ain't no way you want to live in these areas that don't have any actual government things that are going on in that environment. No way. But it's like, bro, listen, just move to better circumstances. You have to live a life to where you don't, where you're not inundated with these people outcomes that you can't save. Because it does mess with your head. It messes with your head a lot. But you got to leave these people alone, man. You have to.
And you know, a lot of people say that about the community. If each one of us individually can bring ourselves up and get our shit together, excuse my French, but that'll help out our community more than you sitting there trying to get 50 people to come along and look. You always gonna have something. It's not gonna happen. You gonna have to. I mean, let me get my stuff straight. You get yours straight. Y'all get y'all straight, and now that'll help out the community more than you sitting there trying to get a whole bunch of people. And like, I don't know if Mike understood about choosing a side. Whatever side you choose, how you gonna impose your will on making things happen?
That's what I'm saying.
Like every other group do. That's all. I mean, regardless if you're Republican, Democrat, what you gonna do to get what you gonna do to get something out of them? Everybody else do.
Because he lived like an exit ahead of the actual property that owned the actual Earth City. So it's like, bro, you know damn well once you get outside, all the way outside the St. Louis area, how bad that shit is going to be for you. Okay, fine. Cross over into Illinois, which is probably about 15 miles from where I own the property and where he's at. That's a wasteland. That's a wasteland all the way until, I mean, it's a wasteland for half the state, especially in that area. So it's like, those people vote out there very conservatively, but what are they trying to conserve? There's nothing out there to conserve. There's no education. There's no money. There's no funding. There is no plowing of roads. There's no government services. There's nothing. So it's like, you want this stuff, but you want to actually have an actual position where things don't really work all that well. And it's like, bro, I know the area. It's different if I didn't know the area. I know the area. I own a ton of property out here. I know the area, and I wouldn't live here. I own property out here and I don't live out here. I hold that property, I clean it off, and I wait till some actual person who want to build an actual warehouse on my facility. That's how I sell the fucking property. Other than that, I would never turn the shit into a neighborhood. I'm not paying all this money for infrastructure and all that shit to build all these $300,000-$400,000 houses that nobody's gonna stay in. I ain't got time to be wasting time on bullshit like that.
And I agree with you on that. Okay, and I think this is why I can definitely agree with you on that one, MOT. Because, okay, to the point of, okay, let's use, I'm in South Carolina. You're talking about the dilapidated areas. You have some areas where they're stuck in their old ways. Can we agree on that, gentlemen? If any of y'all have ever been to the Bible-based South,
100%.
So, okay, so for those of y'all that say, well, the poor area or it's poor, you're talking about whenever they do those commercials, hey, I come from a farm of this and that. And you'll be like, well, dang, why didn't y'all fix that dirt road yet? Or why didn't y'all fix that? And because you got certain committees, they're stuck in their ways. Where I remember we had a fight, the church board, to get actual city running pipes into the ground because they still want to deal with well water. Okay, it's stuff like that. Mind you, the elderly are drinking water that smells like eggs. I'm sure some people don't know what that smells like. If you lived in the South, you know what that is. So
yes,
you exactly. So when you're dealing with that, you have two options. You can stay in the area where their best profession is making babies, going to church, and working at the corner at the mom and pop grocery store and eating rice pudding and grits. Or you can go move to more of a progressive area where they're having function, They're building property up. They're doing this and that. I got land and property out there in the backwoods. I don't stay there. There are some towns they're never going to grow. You're pretty much waiting on people to die because till they leave or they die off or the family sells the land, and then we start hearing blacks, oh my God, there's Mexicans here now. Oh my God, the Arabs done took over. What black people, we need to come together. No, you had your chance. You had your chance with you had your chance. You didn't want to do nothing with it. And now you're trying to shame people to say it's poor or it's y'all fault why it's fall to the ground. No, dude. This is why I don't be listening anymore, because I'm like, if you didn't vote, if y'all didn't try to change that area, and then you get mad when somebody else comes around, and Moti understands that, and I'm sure Inquisitive Prime understands that you can't do nothing unless if they don't want to change, leave. Pick up. That's what I do with my family. I just left. I just when they get too old and if they don't want to pay the taxes, I buy the property, and I keep them locked out of it. I just buy the property. I keep them locked out of it. That's one. I got family out there in Mississippi. You want to know who's buying those dilapidated houses? It's the Latins.
Sure
and they're
is.
fixing them up,
Fixing bitches
and they're
up.
pushing out the blacks.
Fix them up as a group.
Right, but you know what some of the poor blacks are saying? Oh my God, we need somebody to come here and help us buy back the neighborhood. No, you had the chance. Y'all chose to live in houses with no windows, sell crack and dope, and literally just let it run to the ground and shame other men that are going out there to go get CDLs and stuff. You didn't try to build up the industry. This is why you're hearing whenever those politicians start speaking about we need to keep the old conservative values. Keep what? Matchbox houses and stuff? No, I'm not doing that. That's what I said. Know the area. If you don't know the area of the local policies or how the legislative is working, it's best you not say anything, because then you're just talking about what those people who sit behind those desks are saying, but they're just using that to get money. I know a lot like Tim Scott. Hey man, I used to live in this country, and I'm all for fixing these roads. Tim Scott don't give a damn to go down there to Orangeburg or Walterboro and try to fix a road. They could have done that easily. Hell, you could have hired a local goddamn cement driver. How long did it take to drop rocks on the road and cement it off? How long? What is that? A 2-day job? If that? It don't take long. So,
bro, listen, man.
Go ahead, bro.
Like the street on the side of my grandmother's old house, they have not fixed that fucking street in 25 fucking years because of the erosion from beneath the actual street itself. Like my father drove a truck through the neighborhood, and the truck fell through the fucking street, and they never fixed it. 25 fucking years ago, still never fucking fixed it. The shit is still fucked up, and people still live down there, and there's nothing you could do because people do anything possible to not make progress.
There we
to
go.
celebrate stagnation, and
right.
There ain't shit you could do with that. But other people see that shit and they stop their own progress to go look and stare at these people, and I'm like, bro, if you don't get the fuck out of that place and stop being socialized into these people's problems, you're going to have a world of fucking trouble ahead of you. You have to create a life where this shit is not normal to you to see. Yes, I hate fucking going. Like, go home, be there for a weekend, me and the girls fucking chilling, things are fucking going nice, and there's like, do we really have to fucking leave? Yes. We have to leave. Yes. We have to go back out there and work. We have to.
I advise anybody, that was my biggest mistake. So I finally got my stuff together, leaving. I wanted to be home. When I first got off active duty, I should have never went back home. And when I got back from Iraq, I should have never went back home. That's the worst mistake you can do. If ain't nothing going on there, I ain't missed nothing. Same people showing the same bat time, same bat channel.
That's why it took me 20 years to go back. It took me the 20th year reunion to go back to that fucking city. And even when I went back, I wanted to leave that motherfucker as quickly as I fucking came there. Because at the end of the day, I knew what the fuck my grandfather was talking about when I came there even 20 years later, about wanting to never be stuck there and leaving on the power that you actually came to get the fuck out of here.
It's like, I get it. Like, this is why, listen, yes, I do have my conservative values, but I'm all for the policy, dude. If the policies and the legislative don't match, I'm out of Dodge, man. I don't waste my time, man. Like, I was all for it when they were talking about building the clinic, but guess what? You had certain groups of affiliates. They know that's going to raise the taxes, but y'all have a clinic. You won't have to drive grandma 45 to an hour for dialysis if we get a damn clinic. You won't have to take her that far. They'll take Blue Cross Blue Shield, but a lot of y'all don't have vehicles. See, that's what I'm saying, man. If you don't know the layout of the environment, then it's kind of hard to understand these kind of people. And see, the thing about it is, it's very interesting. I know people who are fine with living off of $700 a month. Like somehow they could thrive off of just that. Give them some spam and grits and corned beef hash in the Bible, and they thirst. These are the same people the same platforms I listen to where people be bragging about the market value of sex and stagnation, and I can go on a whole rant about that. That's where these people flourish in. Stagnation, stagnant water, stagnant community environment. They flourish. So, like, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, policies and talking about structural integrity, building up and leaving the dead behind, they don't like that talk, man. I have to tell brothers, go to trucking school. Leave. Go to the town next over. Better yet, leave the state. Go out. Divest.
I mean, but it's a shot to
Leave
them.
Leave them.
It's a shot to them, and it's a shot at them that they're being left behind. And they have spent their whole life leaving everybody else behind, because participation is a sucker's game. That's a socialization process. At the end of the day, you have to stop thinking about this family outcome and all that kind of bullshit and start worrying about the individual. You gonna have to get the fuck out of there. You're gonna have to watch a whole bunch of shit. You're gonna have to see a whole bunch of things that you don't need to see. And I could just pay for these problems to go away. Are they gonna go away permanently? No, but it's gonna go away long enough for me to actually be here for this actual land auction in the morning. And after that shit, I'm the fuck out of here.
I think this is why I don't have no smoke when I go back to my old hometown. The same grocery store the same gas station run by the white man, it's now run by the Arabs.
Yes.
Oh, BMT. Listen, you got the money, brother. What if we auction the bike? No. There was 9 of y'all, and y'all could have done it. Why do y'all need me? No. Y'all built 17 more churches, but y'all never bothered to think to go build a goddamn, I don't know, a hardware store, a goddamn clinic. You know, you could have got other stuff. Like, I'm telling you, man, the only thing these towns get full with Dollar Generals, Family Dollars, and goddamn I don't know, churches. Like, these
That's when you know your city is done. That's when you know your city is done. The moment the Dollar General opens up, that means that you need to get the fuck out of that city.
Listen, hey guys, I'm telling y'all right now. Listen to the wise men on the panel, man. When the minute you see a Dollar General get there, bro, they gave up, man. They gave up.
You live in the wrong area of town, and you need to get the fuck out of that city.
And the opposite of that is if you're in the area and they building a Starbucks, that's where you need to be.
Correct. Starbucks or motherfucking what is that? Chick-fil-A. Yeah, you're in the right side of town.
Yeah, they're not gonna go to areas that are dying. Like and that's the thing about it, man. Like, this is why I dodge these conversations about let's build black. I'm like, no, dude, let's just build progress, man. Like, y'all gotta understand, like, the new man is moving out from the stagnation. Like, you have it where other groups take their men that have a chance, say, get out of the Philippines. Get out of China. Get out of this. They pushed them out, but they're like, there's no way you're gonna thrive here, man. Daddy was stuck here. Hey, I screwed up my life. Like, there's dudes. The preacher has 3 baby mamas and sold crack. Now he's the preacher now. Like, I can't make this up, man. Like, this, and I know this is a lot of y'all towns, and this is a lot of these areas. Like, right now, man. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, the conservative party is just trying to hold on to an old dogmatic thing. And I'm a conservative, but they're trying to hold on to some bullshit.
Yeah.
And I get it. I'm for the family function, but not chaos.
Yeah, it got to be progress. It has to be some progress, or you just become stagnant. I mean, they refused to let a Cracker Barrel come to town because John Brown, we gonna have our little restaurants that we've been my great granddaddy ate that. Man, look, man, let the Cracker Barrel come there. Something different. It's called progress. No, they want to still go down to the fish camp and eat every Sunday after church, and that's where they want to go. And
the actual city council gets to vote on what the zoning's like. And like, dude, there
the
could have been a
zoning.
lot of factories that could have been there, but these people like that's going to change the actual quote unquote the level of the area, and we don't want that. So people would vote for
They
companies not
stopped.
to even come there. Yeah, super shit.
Exactly. They stopped a company from coming because it was gonna they was gonna pay $20 an hour, where the county average was like $10 an hour.
Yes.
And y'all still and y'all didn't vote these conservative county commissioners out. Come on, man. What? That's why I say
You can't, man.
There are places just outside Memphis, just outside Nashville, that pay $35 an hour, no type of parking rides or none of that shit. Them places are out there in the middle of nowhere, can't even fill the office. I'm like, man, they could have spent the money to get a bus out there for these damn people. And it's like, like all that shit, like along 65. It's like, look at this shit. We're talking about $35 an hour inside of a goddamn factory. I'm like, bro, if these people just had rides out here, they'd be out here. So now what I have to do is go down there, form nonprofits, and call myself a church and do all the shit that needs to be done, and I'll just fix your society for you. If you're too stupid to fucking run it on your own, then I'll make millions of dollars doing it myself.
And see, that's where you get looked at as the bad guy. Well, why are you kicking us off our property? It's run down. You're fine with your house is literally is the crack house that your sons, when they get out, they keep going back to. So I have to just tear it down. I'm sorry, I got to tear it down. We're gonna put your grandma in hospice care, and the rest of y'all are gonna have to live on the streets or wherever you go to. Like, these things are happening, man. Like, the only way to defeat this type of mindset is you just have to run it and beat it to submission. And like I said, man, that's why I said, what areas are you talking about? But like, it's a policy area. Like, just like how they were talking about, well, that guy got shot, but he broke into a house. No, dude. No, that was citizens taking the law into their own hand and not following by that of the law. And then when it gets brought to the light, you hear crazy motherfuckers saying, well, it's the castle, doc. That's not how it works, dude. That's not how it works. Your DA and your laws are corrupt, man. Like,
no, I mean, it does work that way in Colorado, but it doesn't work that way everywhere else. But it's just that what people have to understand is that, dude, you cannot be held hostage by other people's failures. You've got to be able to move. You've got to be able to move. Like, bro, listen. My success is based on none of the people who's able here to actually watch it actually proliferate. Grandfather not here, mother not here, father not here. Most of the coaches are fucking dead. Most of the actual chief master sergeant who told me that how far I was behind, thought I was doing big shit. Motherfucker told me right up front, yeah, man, you're 7 years behind as of right now. Think about it. This is your actual future. If you don't want to be in law enforcement, you're 7 years behind. Damn. And it's like, these people need this type of realistic information so that way they can be able to make moves. But if you don't have your finances together, if you don't have the ability to move to another side of town or a 1-bedroom apartment or somewhere the fuck else where you can think about your next move without these people inside your ear, bro, you're going to be there forever. You're going to be forever worried about these people's circumstances and conditions, and you can't do that shit, man. You got to move.
It took me almost 40 years to realize how detrimental my family was to me, that I had to get away from them. And I had to make that choice. I'm happy. That's the best thing I ever done. I mean, I love you, but hey, no, it ain't the same. It's not the same old. It's not the same no more. I can't support with me and you and your problems and situations.
I mean, but it's just that people don't understand the price of peace, man. The price of peace is fucking worth it. It's worth paying for. You pay it once. You pay it once and it's over.
See, the thing about it, but you have it, guys, whereas to this old dead mindset of I fucked up my life. MOT, listen, I fucked up. I got some kids. I need you to put my children on. And also, listen, bro, like, also make sure that we make money. Like, you can pay off the debt. Like, I know, listen, I know we fucked up granddaddy's house, but you got that truck of yours. Let's put a loan on it. We can fix granddaddy's land. And also me and Vanessa are going to live here. And you also, I need you to get me a job, please. You know, just hook me up with a job. Put me on to a job.
Nah,
That's all
man,
I
dude,
like.
bro, at the end of the day, man, you got to learn how this shit works. It's one system. It's never changing. Think about it. People understood how basketball works, how baseball works, how football works, how any sports works. This is like any other sport, except this shit affects your whole entire output in life. Like, listen, I don't have to go out here and make sure these motherfuckers are actually winning. I live in a nice area of motherfucking town where these people are going to continue to make sure that these people are winning. I ain't got no motherfucking kids in school and none of that shit, but do we got nice schools in the area? Yeah. And people would fight to fucking get inside these schools, but that's a process that I started building on 20 years ago to fucking get here, maintain here, and stay here and be here. A lot of people think that, okay, I'm just going to get to the end and somebody's just going to do all this shit for me. Man, fuck that. That's not how it works, man.
But what if the Latinos are taking over our community and the Indians are buying up our stores? What are we supposed to do about that? Like, we have to stay
Nothing.
pro-black to our. No, we have to protect.
I mean, the only thing they're doing is talking about their inability to survive. When people talk about community, they're really talking about making up for the actual outcomes of the women and the broken children that they actually raised. And this shit is no longer my problem, man. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. End of the day, you spent your whole life humiliating a class of fucking men, and now you expect them to come in and rescue you. It's not gonna happen, man. Dude, listen, it doesn't matter. You can't gaslight me about times that I've never had with you. Okay? Can't do that. End of the day, if it took disrespect for me to walk away, disrespect isn't going to bring me back to the table. Unless you're dealing with dumbass motherfuckers, then that's the way that's going to be. So I'm not really worried about it, man. Like, dude, everybody's going to get what the fuck they're going to get here. People deserve, I think that they deserve better chances than what they think they're worth. And I'm not worried about that shit. I don't care about this shit. So you got any last word before we get out of here and get quiz the Prince?
The only last word, I advise anybody, whatever political party you decide to choose, work your will that's going. Impose your will on how to make the party, how to get out of the party what you need, instead of I'm gonna just jump from side to side and quit listening to these grifters on social media that they're not gonna teach you any substance.
I mean, because they're not really interested in how things are working. They're interested in things not working. And that's very easy to leverage upon people.
Thriving off chaos. They thrive off chaos. Anything chaos. So that's it, fellas. That's all I got to say. Y'all have a good one.
All right, thanks, man. And I'm just saying, end of the day, pick a side, invest in the side that you're on. If you're talking shit about the left, you're definitely on the right. There's no reason. Like, if you're in the middle, you're honestly in the middle, you deal with the issues how they come. But the moment that you start throwing shots at one level or another and you don't point at the other side for any other reason, even though the other side has a hell of a lot more problems with them, then you're just on the right. You're just as big as the white supremacists that you claim that these other people are. It's crazy. You don't need to do that shit. But if you actually invested your entire life into becoming this media mogul based off the misinformation of these people, then, man, fuck you. We don't have time for this shit right now. You got to be able to make sure that this shit fucking works for you. And there's nothing embarrassing to be about. Most people vote to stop bad shit from happening. That's why most people vote, to stop the other side from gaining power, to stop bad shit from happening. But if you're not fucking participating and you still got fucking complaints about a system that haven't changed in 250 years, there's something wrong with you. So with that said, on the Man Tomorrow, thank you guys for coming through. You guys have a really nice day. Peace.